What is up? What is up, people? How are we doing? Are we doing well? Everybody doing good, huh? Having a good day. Not really, everything's crazy. But fuck it, we gonna play games. We gonna watch videos. We gonna get deep into politics later. Do a little bit of politics now. Good times.
In an interview
Loud.
this week, President Trump was challenged on his assertion that he was, quote, starting to get great polls on the economy. He then backtracked, saying the polling should be great. So what are the polls saying? CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton joining me now. Where do Americans think the economy is going right now?
Yeah, here is the reality check for everyone. And I would just say this is the problem for the President of the United States. You get elected to fix the economy, and the American people, they ain't buying it, because just take a look here. Say the economy is getting worse. Right after Donald Trump was elected back in 2024, re-elected, 42% of Americans said the economy is getting worse. Well, you want that number to go down. You want that number to go down if you're the President of the United States. Instead, it's going up. What are we talking about? Now, 55% of Americans say that the economy is getting worse. I don't know how you win when the majority of Americans say the economy is getting worse, because you go back through the record books, and that is a formula that equals failure.
And what do Americans want Trump to focus on the most?
Yeah, this, I think, is the whole kit and caboodle, right? Much of the news stories over the month of January were focused in on Minneapolis, focusing in on controlling immigration and reducing crime. Those are two things that the President of the United States and his administration has been arguing about. But where do the American folks say that Trump should be focused? Say their top priority should be lowering prices, 54%, the clear majority. We have looked at poll after poll after poll after poll after poll. I'm exhausting myself just talking about it. And every single poll say that their top priority should be lowering prices or the economy. And it is still the case. Much lower down, controlling immigration at 22%. Even lower than that, reducing crime at 10%. You add together 22 and 10, you get to 32. And you don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that 54 is larger than 32. The Trump administration is putting their focus on the wrong issues, the issues that are not most important to the American public. And when you are focusing on the wrong issues, and the vast majority of Americans, or the clear majority of Americans, say that the economy is getting worse, again, this is X plus Y equals failure. Failure, failure, failure going into the midterm elections, because Donald Trump was elected to fix the economy, and it's still belief in the American people that lowering prices should be the top. And at this point, 55% say the economy is getting worse.
So I guess the question, as we get closer and closer to the midterms, which party do people trust, knowing how they feel about how Donald Trump has handled things when it comes to the economy?
Right. The economy, right? Affordability. You know, Donald Trump has been dismissing affordability concerns. But when 54% say the top priority should be lowering prices, not much of a surprise, right? Party trusted more in affordability. Overall, it's the Democrats by 14. Look at this. Among independents, I'm laughing. It's 39 points. It's a blowout. This is the entire ball game right here. And when you're having a 39-point lead among independents, a 14-point lead overall on affordability, and right now the top priority, the Americans say, should be lowering prices for the Trump administration. This is the type of formula that equals major success for the Democrats come the midterms, if it holds.
And we have seen that in the special elections. We'll see if that holds in the midterms.
We shall see, Sarah.
Harry Enton,
Wait,
thank you so
what was
much.
it?
Appreciate you.
As the world.
What did they end up announcing or doing?
The new poll from KFF shows healthcare tops the public's list of economic anxieties. People say they worry more about the cost of health insurance and prescription drugs than groceries or rent, utilities, and gas. My panel is back now. Elena?
Yeah, look, what I find so fascinating about this, and particularly when you reference that poll, is that in the broader...
Oh, fucking kill me now.
So Kamala HQ is turning into headquarters, and it's where you can go online to get basically the latest of what's going on, and also to meet and revisit with some of our great, courageous leaders, be they elected leaders, community leaders, civic leaders, faith leaders, young leaders. I'm really excited about it. So stay engaged, and I'll see you out there. Thank you.
Madam Vice President.
Oh my God, neighbor Rooney. That is so fucking cringe. Bro, it's giving fucking Steve Buscemi. You know?
Spectrum of how the president looks at this, he is obsessed with wanting to put not only his imprint, but Republicans at large, some sort of imprint on healthcare. He hates that this is an issue that Democrats have owned and Republicans have failed out for so many years. He still, even in the recent months, has brought up the McCain downvote about, trying to repeal and replace Obamacare. So that's part of this. The other thing is he is obsessed with this idea of trying to make drugs more affordable. It is going to be interesting to see if this actually is the case, if these drugs do end up, as Tammy laid out, being more cost effective for a lot of consumers rather than their insurance. I think, the fact that he's calling it Trump RX, that's something else I've heard. If Republicans end up doing some broader healthcare plan, he wants to have it be Trump Care or something like that. But at the end of the day, this is something he wants Republicans to be talking about. Interesting enough, I know, Sabrina, you'll probably weigh in on this. Republicans, at least when it comes to politics in the midterms, do not want healthcare to be one of the things that is a central focus. So just keeping that in mind as we look at all of this.
Yeah, I mean, to Elena's point, I think what's interesting is,
That's
they want to
not
show that they
surprising.
care
The
about
RNC tends
affordability.
to
This
do
is a
better
really
job with
tangible
shit.
way to do that.
Spam in the
But
chat.
we know that Democrats have consistently dominated on this issue. And for a lot of folks who last year lost the Obamacare subsidies and are actually feeling the impact of, higher premiums, it is interesting. It will be interesting to see how that plays out in the midterms. I think we talked a lot about it late last year as that expiration was coming around. But I think the repercussions of that and how Democrats capitalize on that is something we're going to be talking about in the months to come.
Yeah, I mean, Democrats won back the majority in the president's first term talking about health care, and they are determined to do the same now. Joining me now is the man who coined strong floor, no ceiling. It is, as you see there, the name of his book. Oliver Libby is a venture capitalist and Democratic donor and is here with me now. Thank you so much for being here. First of all, how did this slogan, the title of your book, make its way to Hakeem Jeffries?
It came to him through a number of people who heard that I was writing the book. I had shared a manuscript with a number of people I respect in the party, and actually he offered to write a testimonial, which you can find right at the beginning of the book. And when I first heard him say it on television, it was actually a surprise to me. I started writing the book, Dana, about 8 years ago, and it was really just a place for me to put all the ideas that I wished would be America, when we could relight the American dream, which is something I worry about all the time as one of our greatest national security threats. And so to hear Leader Jeffries take this up was an extraordinary moment.
So when people hear us saying strong floor, no ceiling, how do you explain it?
It's simple. And actually, one of my favorite things about this is when people see the book and they know it's about America and politics, they get it at their core. A strong floor is a floor made up of planks that we all know and understand. We want affordability. We want healthcare and education. We want housing and good paying jobs, safe and secure homes. Those are the things that are the building blocks of opportunity. But in America, it can't stop there. And I think every American wants to believe that if they work hard.
Hello. How you doing?
I thought you were out doing things. Would you get it all done?
Not yet. We just finished some lurch, and now we're about to head out. But I wanted to pop on and say hi. See how it's going.
Sweet, baby. I love you.
You watching a video?
Watching a video while I play my Oxygen Not Included. We'll be talking about this later too, but did you see the thing that Trump shared?
About super new?
Pretty new, pretty fucked up.
Eesh.
Should I ask? Showing the Obama's faces on apes' bodies.
Oh. And he made this, or?
I think he shared it or whatever, but obviously racist as fuck. And yeah, so he's since deleted it after like bipartisan backlash.
He was keeping up as long as possible. Not surprised.
It's crazy, honestly.
It's disappointing to hear, though. Yeah, they don't deserve that. They're highly dignified people, so no one deserves that. But
yeah, it's some wild shit. But we'll probably be getting into it more later in the night stream.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Very good. Yeah, thanks for the little update. It's a shitty one, but I still want to know.
Yeah. Rough, for sure.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy, if you ask me. But,
yeah.
What are you gonna do? That's our president! Hey!
You're gonna party! I love life.
Right. When do you think you'll be back around?
Afternoonish.
Okay.
But there'll be breaks in between, getting Rover some grooming, going to print some things, seeing how late places are open. So yeah, I'll let you know, but I'll text you for now.
Sounds good, baby.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the stream.
I will. Make sure to leave me up.
Oh yes, will do.
Oh,
okay. We'll miss you.
Yeah, I'll see you later, baby. I love you.
See you later. Baby. Love you. Bye.
And play by the rules and pay their taxes, that they can have the good life, they can be in the middle class, and maybe even go far beyond that. That's actually the way we increase the economic pie. And so it weaves in today to some of the core themes, affordability. But look, here's one important thing. I think if folks are not happy with the current leadership and the Trump administration, we have never had a seismic shift in American politics without a positive and hopeful message that says what we want for America, not what we don't want. Whether it was the contract with America, or 6 for 06, or for the people. There was always something hopeful, something people could vote for, not just against. And I think we need that today.
Yeah, and so you're hoping that this book, which again isn't just the title.
Oh, shit. I just hope these all don't get replaced by ultra MAGAs.
Well, obviously, it lays out a prescription, a roadmap.
I mean, they're all kind of, a lot of them are
dealing with affordability.
It's got to be.
We put this poll up in another segment earlier as it related to the president's new Trump RX website, but I want to show it to you as it relates to your argument. You see there the affordability concerns, what people are the most worried about. Healthcare is ahead of everything else, and those are also pretty high. But the fact that healthcare is so high, your proposal for a strong floor on health care initiatives is a universal single-payer health insurance plan. Long-time goal with progressives, but it is definitely something that President Obama, when he did Obamacare, was pressured to do, and he shied away from it because he couldn't get support even among Democrats. And back then, I was covering it, there were 60 Senate Democrats.
You know, but I think, look, you heard the president today talk about the fact that healthcare is broken. We know that healthcare is broken. Everybody knows that healthcare is broken. So, sure, a single-payer, a public option is really important, but actually the whole chapter is filled with ideas. There should be a tax credit for seeing your doctor every year, and that's something that we're using an incentive, an economic incentive, to help reduce the overall cost of healthcare, because a lot of people only get
preventative medicine.
Exactly, go to the hospital when you're really sick. But you know, I'm really glad you raised polling. We've actually been in battleground states, in Michigan and Georgia, and actually your viewers are the first to hear this. And we've asked folks, we never did this during the writing of the book, but now that it's out there, we asked folks what they think about strong floor, no ceiling. And what's amazing to me is it's extremely popular, high 70s, 80s for moving voters. It's something that voters find inspiring. But what's interesting to me is both legs of strong floor and no ceiling polled in the high 90s in both states. And we're publishing this polling so you can see it. What that means to me is people understand whatever solutions haven't worked in the past, we have big problems here. People can't afford their lives. 27% of Americans believe that there's an American dream. There's no 9/11 or Pearl Harbor that can destroy America. That can. And so if people believe, hopefully, that we can do a strong floor with no ceiling, then we have the hope to relight the American dream.
Okay. I mean, I just wish they'd fucking resign right away instead of waiting.
Today, there is bipartisan outrage over a racist video President Trump shared on his social media platform last night. A White House official now telling MS Now a staffer erroneously made the post, but it was 12 hours before it was taken down. Also, I want to make clear that we would not usually...
Fucking loser Dems giving up right now. God, fuck these people. Yep.
...show racist content, but will because the president posted it and to inform this important conversation. You can see this post. It depicts former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes in a jungle. It's at the end of a video promoting false claims about voting machines and the 2020 presidential election. In a statement responding to the backlash over the video before it was taken down, the White House press secretary said, "This is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and Democrats as characters from The Lion King. Please stop the fake outrage."
Oh my God.
None of the rest of that video is included in what Trump posted. Only the Obamas. Joining me now, Simone Sanders Townsend, MS Now co-host of The Weeknight and former chief spokesperson for Vice President Harris. Eugene Daniels, MS Now senior Washington correspondent and co-host of The Weekend. They are also the hosts of a brand new MS Now podcast, Clock It with Simone and Eugene. Simone, as a former communications director, what do you make of the White House statement?
Chris, they think we haven't seen The Lion King. There are no apes in The Lion King. There's not one ape. There's a baboon, Rafiki. He is actually central to the story, but there's not one ape in the movie. So let's just be for real right now. There's not an ape in The Lion King. So I would have never put out a statement like that. The one time somebody thought the person I worked for did say something that was racist and inhumane, I went to my principal and encouraged the principal to apologize and explain to them why what they said was problematic, okay? Mm-hmm. So Eugene, I cannot grasp this. This is the last thing I'll say. It is not racist because it is offensive.
About evolution.
It is offensive because it is inherently racist. The trope about depicting black people as animals goes all the way back to white Europeans looking for a justification for colonization and the enslavement of African people. And it gained prominence in the 1700s and 1800s, and it became a racial, like a scientific theory. I'm using air quotes. And it was a mainstream theory that put a hierarchy that said white Europeans were at the top and Africans were at the bottom, and depiction of apes was very central to this theory. They were at the bottom. They were closer to primitive beings such as apes. Therefore, black people, specifically in that time, Africans, were better suited for forced labor and domination. So it is racist because the root of this theory, this trope, this joke, okay, that the White House is talking about, is rooted in the ability to dominate, rape, pillage, and inflict violence upon black people.
I will say, Eugene, that this post is being condemned from both sides of the aisle, including Republican Senator Tim Scott, saying it's the most racist thing he's seen out of this White House. The implication, of course, is that it's not the only racist thing he's seen out of this White House. But I wonder if you think there is some line with this that has been crossed. And by the way, the posts that have been racist in the past have been posted on official government accounts. These are not individuals within the government who are posting things on their private accounts. I'm sorry, Eugene, go ahead.
No, that is a really important point, because that means that we all paid them to post a racist thing on the internet, right? That is a really important point. You're right. We're hearing from Tim Scott. We're hearing from Mike Lawler, some Republicans who have issues with this. Tim Scott, of course, being the only black senator on the Republican side, and being someone who has been close-ish to this White House. But I will also say this is who Donald Trump is, right? And I think the Republican Party has to accept that. We as journalists have to accept that. The American people have to accept that. The world has to accept that. This is a man who spent money to take out a full-page ad calling for the execution of 5 black and brown men. Now the exonerated 5. This is someone who spent months
evening the odds,
saying that Barack Obama.
What's up, Shiny Jesus?
We're watching a video about the racist post that Trump made.
Well, what is it basically?
It's a video of the Obama's faces on apes' bodies.
Well, yeah, Trump is racist. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, this one's pretty blatant, though. They have their own Arab to saber tier list in Europe. Man. Yeah, this one was about as blatant as he's ever been, is the thing. That's the, like, it's real hard to defend this one. Republicans, like, he ended up taking it down because even Republicans were like, nah, dude, that's fucked. They tried to say it was about a video from the Lion King's Cope. Yeah, what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding
Fuck
me?
Trump.
Like, do you all think we're retarded? There's no apes in the Lion King, yep. They just said that in the video. I mean,
born here, that the racist trope about this, this interloper who doesn't belong here, who is someone who is not a part of the American experiment, the first black president of this country, that's what he spent his time doing. So this
You're gonna have to clean that tuna out.
That this was an accident.
Yeah. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
This one's
Wait, what is 140 grams of tuna?
Huh?
No, I'm just talking to myself, don't worry.
Let's see.
Oh, 39 pro... What? This is fucking insane. Now, you can just chill on the stream, but like, dude, I just found out a cheat code.
Okay.
You know, I told you I'm turning my body into a fucking machine, right? I've gotten really buff recently.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm gonna basically start eating fucking tuna with some corn.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got a little mayo in there. It tastes good.
I'm not gonna add mayo. Hold on, my dad needs me. I'll be back in a second.
For sure. See what else is going on right now. Well, you don't answer yourself back when you talk to yourself. It's like the moment you play rock, paper, scissors in the mirror and lose to yourself.
Sir. Senator Gallego.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary Besson, thank you again for being here today. We kind of touched on this earlier. In addition to being Treasury Secretary, you are serving as acting director of the IRS.
Senator Warnock.
No, that is not what I meant to do.
Sir. Senator Gallego.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary Besson, thank you again for being here today. We kind of touched on this earlier. In addition to being Treasury Secretary, you are serving as acting director of the IRS. So following up on Senator Kim's questioning So you are fully aware that the president is suing your agency for $10 billion.
Yeah.
We would agree. Would you agree that $10 billion is a good sum of money?
Yes, sir.
Where would that be cut from? Let's say for some reason he actually wins that lawsuit. Where would that $10 billion come from?
Again, it would come from.
Process-wise. I'm not asking like your opinion whether it's right or wrong.
It would come from Treasury.
It comes from Treasury, which comes from
when
the general.
When do they usually do like a White House press briefing? Week afternoons around 1 Eastern time. Shouldn't that be soon? I would love to see how this goes. Stay tuned. We'll be live again shortly. They're probably scrambling. They're like, Caroline, make sure you attack anybody who asks you about this post. Caroline, Donald Trump didn't do it, okay? It was a staffer, okay? A staffer actually controls his Twitter, okay?
The Treasury General account.
So taxpayers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Part of the 440,000 taxpayers whose returns were leaked.
If the president, they're not suing, but if the president prevails in this lawsuit, he's going to be able to pocket that money. My question is the president, has anyone in the president's office talked to you about this lawsuit in any regard?
They have not, and the president has said he will donate the proceeds to charity. You may have missed that.
So no one at all has discussed this to you whatsoever?
No, sir, and the president said he will.
Have you received, I didn't ask any more questions. Have you received any advice from Treasury's legal division about how to handle this potential conflict?
This is a Justice Department matter. They represent Treasury in it.
Have someone from the Department of Justice actually come and talk to you saying that this is their purview and you need to stay out of it? Or who has discussed to you what is your role in this?
Our general counsel, who's sitting behind me, has told me that it is a Justice Department matter. The Justice Department defends Treasury in matters like this.
Okay, so it has been discussed with you. Do you have any final say at all in the process of this? Or is the DOJ just going to instruct you to cut a check and or settle, and you have no independence to actually make a decision whether or not the president deserves $10 billion?
Again, that is a DOJ matter.
And so the DOJ will entirely make that decision whether or not the president should receive $10 billion. You have no say at all.
Correct.
So you would just have to write the check if you were told to write the check.
Correct.
And you would write the check willingly if you were told by a DOJ to the president.
Yeah, I will follow the law, Senator.
Okay. I mean, I think for many of us, this is very simple. And I think if this had been happening in any other countries, it would look an absolute, like a total shakedown of the American taxpayer. Are you also aware that President Trump has filed claims seeking $230 million from the Justice Department for investigations conducted during his previous candidacy?
I'm unaware of the cumulative number.
Okay. So if the president wins or settles these claims, that money will come also from the Treasury Judgment Fund, which you do control. Have you recused yourself from any decisions about paying the president on these claims?
Again, I'll follow the law, and I'm not involved with any of this. It stems from justice.
What was the jump for? Well, he's going to claim it's all him. Bitcoin. What's going on? Yeah. Had a bit of a bounce. So stupid. Yeah. Such a symbolic win. Oh, so great. Even though... oh, I hate everyone for how stupid they are. Why? What's so special about it?
What's this?
So you, even though the Treasury Judgment Fund is called the Treasury Judgment Fund, you have no control over the Treasury Judgment Fund.
We act as paymaster.
So you will sign it then?
Sorry?
You will sign the check then? If you're a paymaster, you'd be the person's signature is to the Treasury Judgment Fund.
I would assume it would be a wire transfer.
Yes, I'm assuming we're not that old school.
Yep.
But that being said, so you have no say in this whatsoever. You will only basically follow what the DOJ says, but you're the person that actually is the final person that pushes send essentially on the wire transfer.
Yes.
I'll have to look at
And
it
even
a
if
little
you
bit.
feel or that it is unjust, the fact that this president is basically plundering U.S. taxpayer dollars, you will still hit that send button.
Even if I believe that 6103, the IRS tax code, was violated and 440,000 taxpayers were leaked.
So back to this other thing. So now, you do believe, though, I mean, do you understand why some of us see a problem with that? And let me ask just a very simple question. Do you work for the President of the United States?
I work for the American people.
So can the president fire you?
Or he can.
He can fire you, correct?
Yes.
So
isn't it a conflict of interest that you're going to be making these decisions and the president has full power over you?
I think you're confused, Senator. I am not part of the decision.
Well, you're certainly a person that send on the wire transfer, and I think that's why there's a lot of people that are actually
that is not part
do not trust and do not trust the president's actually looking out his best interest.
I guess you're saying that
I'm controlling the time here.
Obeying the law.
I'm controlling. You're not obeying the law. You're plundering you.
What a fucking twat, dude.
U.S. taxpayer dollars. Plundering U.S. taxpayer dollars. Plundering taxpayer dollars. Plundering. Thank you. You'll back.
What an asshole. You go back and working for SAS. SAS jobs are the best. Yeah, well, not anymore. I would like. Yeah, true.
Chairman, thank you very much. Thanks to the witnesses for joining us. Our colleagues want to have a hearing today about the First Amendment under attack, so let's have it. Our freedom of speech, our freedom of assembly, our right to petition government for a redress of grievances, our right to a free press are all under siege today by President Trump and his masked agents at ICE, who operate like a lawless private paramilitary force occupying American communities across the country. In the last several weeks, ICE agents have killed Renee Good, a U.S. citizen and 37-year-old mother of three, gunning her down in cold blood simply for exercising her First Amendment rights. They've killed Alex Preddy, a U.S. citizen and ICU nurse treating military veterans for exercising his right to record government officials in action and to speak to and render aid and comfort to another U.S. citizen, a woman who was violently shoved to the ground by an ICE agent. This small act of kindness, solidarity, and dare I say...
Fuck ownership, I guess, for regular people. Yay, we get to license everything.
Chivalry then brought the hellfire of a gang of masked ICE agents down on Alex Preddy. As they pummeled him, one agent discovered Preddy's firearm, which Preddy had never drawn or brandished, despite the instantaneous lies the Trump administration spewed out about him after he was killed. The agent confiscated his weapon, which he carried lawfully under the Second Amendment in Minnesota's state's conceal and open carry laws, and then the ICE agents proceeded to shoot him 10 times.
Not yet, but shit, if somebody came to me and said, hey, do you want to pay subscription for an AI that'll do all the work, make a business for you, generate revenue, and all you have to do is pay a small portion of that revenue to us so you can do it? I'd probably be like, well, fuck yeah.
Executing him in cold blood simply for exercising his First Amendment and Second Amendment rights. In Chicago, Border Patrol police shot 5 times U.S. citizen Marimar Martinez, a Montessori school teacher, when she was on her way from her home to church to deliver clothes she'd collected for the poor. When she saw the now familiar to us aggressive, violent raid taking place against people in her own neighborhood, she honked her horn to warn people. This prompted an agent to swerve his car into hers, at which point he began shooting directly into her car. She could, quote, feel bullets continue to pierce her body all over. Quote, I saw my life flash before me and slowly began to think, this is the end of me, she told a shadow hearing yesterday on Capitol Hill. In a now predictable pattern, phony charges against her for ramming the police car were filed, but then promptly dropped by prosecutors when they were clearly contradicted by the video-recorded facts on the ground. Miraculously, she has lived to tell the story, traumatized by our government, her own government, but undaunted in standing up for her community and for American freedom. I could recite, Mr. Chairman, equally gruesome cases to you for the next 2 hours if we had the time, but everyone should check out the sickening case of Aliyah Rahman, a 43-year-old citizen with autism in Minneapolis who was violently accosted and assaulted by ICE agents as she tried to make her way to a medical appointment. She screamed she was disabled and begged to be left alone. You must look at the footage of her violent abuse at the hands of these masked ICE goons smashing her car window and pulling her to the ground to believe that something like this could ever happen in the United States of America. Of course, the Department of Homeland Security lied about her, immediately calling the helpless autistic woman an agitator, the way they originally tried to defame Renee Good and Alex Preddy as domestic terrorists with their pathetic propaganda they had to withdraw. If there are domestic terrorists on the loose in Minneapolis, it's not the unmasked people exercising their First Amendment rights. It's the masked agents who believe they operate with impunity and immunity and violent domination over the lowly citizens of America. So yeah, we need a hearing today, Mr. Chairman. It's been more than a month since 3,000 agents descended on Minneapolis, outnumbering the entire local police force 3-1. It's been 4 weeks since they shot and killed Renee Good. It's been 10 days since Alex Preddy was executed in broad daylight by ICE agents whose salaries we pay and who got a $50,000 sign-on bonus and whose ranks almost certainly include pardon January 6 insurrectionists like Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, who now may have gone from beating the daylights out of our police officers on January 6th to beating the daylights out of our citizens. But in all that time, how many administration witnesses has the majority called to address these outrageous violations of the Bill of Rights? Not one. A few days ago, you know, Mr. Chairman, every Democratic member of our committee wrote to you and asked that you call Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem before us without delay. We wrote, this committee has devoted years of oversight to alleged First Amendment violations by social media companies, and we've subpoenaed foreign companies over censorship abroad. But look what's happening right here in front of our own eyes. Federal agents have shot dead 2 Americans in the past 2 weeks for exercising their rights to protest. We are glad that you have heeded our calls and called Secretary Noem in, but instead of demanding that she appear immediately today, her hearing is set from a month from now. But this is a constitutional emergency today. The government is destroying our social contract by attacking the people and our rights on a daily basis. Where is the sense of urgency, Mr. Chairman? It may be the giant Republican donor and Jeffrey Epstein pal Elon Musk is upset that his company's on the hook for violating the law in Europe. Maybe that the public is angry at him about his platform Grok creating nude photos on demand of women, children, and men all over the world. It may be that he was fined for refusing to comply with the European law against fraud. We can look at all that stuff. In normal times, I'd appreciate a vigorous scholarly discussion and debate about all of that, comparing Europe's aggressive, proactive approach to America's more laissez-faire approach when it comes to regulating online evils like child pornography, cyberbullying, and the epidemic of cyber scams taking place online. I'm an academic, as you know, and I'd welcome one more committee seminar on the difference in views of the Europeans versus the Americans on things like revenge porn, AI programs that compose suicide notes for teenagers, and racist conspiracy theories being promoted online. But we've got time for all of that, Mr. Chairman. This is an emergency today, what's taking place in our own country. These are not normal times. There are sweeping, blatant, and violent attacks on the freedom of expression taking place right now in America, not in Brussels, not in Geneva, not in a seminar room in Oxford. Wherever you come down on child pornography, whether you agree with the aggressive European approach or you like the Elon Musk, Jeffrey Epstein libertarian approach, whatever, the truth is that the European Commission is not posing a threat to our essential freedoms and constitutional rights today. The threat to our freedom and our people today comes from the authoritarian violence unleashed by the Trump administration and this reign of political terror and lawlessness being committed against our people. As the chief federal judge of Minnesota wrote last week, ICE has violated more court orders in January 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. ICE is not a law unto itself. Mr. Mayel, you're the executive director of the ACLU. We're grateful you've come to tell us what's going on in your state and to help us make sense of the idea that a European statute that no one in America has ever heard of poses a greater threat to our freedom and our Bill of Rights than roving gangs of masked ICE agents gunning down American citizens in broad daylight. Mr. Chairman, let's bring in Secretary Noem without any further delay. Thank you for your indulgence, and I yield back.
Press briefing. No. No, not yet. Not yet. All right, cool.
It seems.
Take a look at this. This looks like it could be interesting.
Sloppy to not at least file something in that state. I'll give you that for free. I don't know why it matters, but I'll give you that point for free. It seems reasonable. Okay. So I give you that, then what?
I love how this guy gives you like basic reality for free. It's like H2O, that's water. I'll give you that one for free, guys. I'll give you it for free. So Trump, just to be clear, these are the building blocks. I don't think you know what fucking evil you are owning up to right now. Trump lost in New Mexico by more than 10% of the vote. He didn't make any complaints and didn't say that they stole the election from him. He had no pending litigation. He wasn't trying to challenge in the courts until 6 minutes before the deadline, after he had already created the fake elector. And then he goes to Mike Pence and says, you need to accept that. Trump didn't say that. Trump said, make me president. Also, yeah, Pence didn't have that authority.
Cocksucker.
Why did you say, what's the big deal then? Why are you trying to gaslight me?
I don't think it's a big deal.
You're an abusive husband. Fuck you. What are you doing? Let's go.
Oh, you are live. Welcome to the show, sir.
How's it going?
So far, so good, but there's still plenty of time for things to go horribly wrong. So we'll see how that goes. Welcome to the show. It is today, for those of you who don't know, and if you're on Lonerbox side of things, it's Lonerbox versus the world. We already got some people who are raring to talk to you. So once you get your cam up, once you get set up, we'll just get into it.
What, are these the guys? I don't know either. These two Stream Rift, Admiral Gibbs. Hello, how's it going?
Oh, well, there's more of the guys. There's going to be more as they come, right? So just to be clear, this is kind of a semi-open call-in show as well. So if you're in the audience and you're like, Lonerbox, your hair looks like a hat. That's something I heard earlier. Okay, that your hair looks like a hat, and you want to talk to Lonerbox about it, confront him. You can just jump onto the server, jump backstage, and we'll get to you. But yeah, see how it goes. Lonerbox, why don't you start by introducing yourself? Tell people who you are, what you do, maybe some of your more hotter takes, and then we can just begin. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lonerbox. I make YouTube videos, I debate online, and I live stream. And all my takes are pretty fucking evidence-based, middle of the road, no big deal, uncontroversial. So can't imagine why anyone would have an issue.
I guess we'll find out. Speaking of issues, we have a couple people here that do have some issues. Admiral Gibbs and Stream Rift. Admiral Gibbs, what issues do you got with Lonerbox here?
Looking snazzy today, by the way.
Thank you, appreciate it. I've been trying to run like a chicken with a head cut off all day. It's been crazy. But yeah, we got a lot of issues, We can't let these British socialists win. We got to stop this bullshit now. And that's it. That's good. We'll get into the rest later. And my camera probably won't cooperate. It cooperated once. That's all I can ask for.
Okay. British socialist communist. Okay. We'll see how that goes. And then Stream Rift, what is your major problem with Lonerbox?
Well, so Lonerbox, this is a very recent issue that you've been talking about, I say sarcastically. You appear to have hate for the red pill, which I think is unfounded, especially if you believe in evidence-based, middle-of-the-road, uncontroversial issues. So that's what I came today, partially ready to have that chat about.
Okay, why don't we start there? Hash it out. What do you mean?
All right, so I hate to misquote anybody. My understanding, Lonerbox, is that your general take, and please by all means never let me put words in your mouth that you don't say or believe, but that you view the red pill as sort of a moral gripe fest, and less about looking at things as they are, and more about being some vehicle to capture hate and hostility or something like that. So I think you understand sort of the thrust of where I'm going at. You want to help me understand why I'm wrong, or elaborate more on sort of your hostility or criticisms of the red pill?
I mean, the two biggest purveyors I ever saw of red pill was of Andrew Tate, and maybe more specific, more directly using it was Fresh and Fit. And yes, they did just kind of hate women and Jews. For some reason, those two go hand in hand. I mean, you can be more specific if you're talking about red pill, because red pillers, from my experience, will go from saying men and women are different, which is obviously your Mott and Bailey, but then obviously underlying that, it's like 2 minutes later, I hear Myron Gaines talking about how women are dependent on men because otherwise who's going to go and hunt lions and tigers and kill them for their meat for the women?
Well, I mean, in the modern economy, women are heavily dependent on men. If all of the men quit their work for today, society would collapse in, I'm going to generously say, 10 days. Well, if all the women quit their jobs today, society would not collapse.
Quick fact check. You don't want to eat predator meat. Anyway, keep going, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's on my end, by the way, and on me.
I mean, another thing is, sure, if like 50% of everyone in society just did a general strike, society would fall apart.
Perry Welk. This isn't Defend Lonerbox Day. This is
true.
Lonerbox versus the World Day. So let Lonerbox defend his position, and we'll move into it.
I mean, part of your position, it sounds like, is baked into is you're defining red pill as what Myron and Andrew Tate say. Is that
they are
framing of it? Or?
I see them as they are the biggest purveyors of red pill, or self-proclaimed red pillers online, are they not?
Do you think more so than Andrew Wilson? I think Andrew Wilson's probably the leader now.
I have no idea how big Andrew Wilson is at the moment. Like,
I'm sure they have like, I mean, I guess the only reason I'm asking is just for your clarification purposes, because I think Myron and like them have one version, and Wilson's got a very different version, and they're almost incompatible.
Okay,
so
well, let's just go for one position at a time, because I don't listen to Andrew Wilson that often. If you go for the first one, like, women are like half of the workforce, or more than half of the workforce in a lot of these Western societies. So if half of the workforce goes on strike, you're gonna have problems. What are you talking about?
No. If, for example, infrastructure, we're talking about power, we're talking about sewage treatment, we're talking about the roads, we're talking about electricity, all of that. These heavily male-dominated fields, women don't even have the strength to do. Even if they had the equipment, and even if they had the strength, they still don't have the training. So it's not half the workforce. It's half the workforce that's doing jobs that, for example, again, you take all of the men out of the workforce, women couldn't do the jobs. Flip it the other way around, men could.
You know that the Western world is like dominated by services, right? Like we are service economies in the West, and women do
So what
service
does that have
jobs
to
as
do with
well.
infrastructure?
That is a
if we don't have
problem.
roads, if we don't have electricity, if we don't have basic water and sewage, what the hell does it matter if we have a service economy?
What do you mean about water and sewage? So what do you think would happen in society if women stopped working then? If all the midwives and care workers and nurses and mental health people or people who teach in schools, like what do you think would happen in society if all these people stopped working?
I think within about 3 months. I think the first 3 months might be rough. I think within 3 years everything would be better.
And which society that doesn't employ women does well?
It's not the argument. You're the one saying that if half of them left the workforce.
If you can name one country where women are excluded from the workforce and society does pretty well, or is enviable as an American.
The Emirates.
Yeah, you envy the Emirates as an American. You want to live in the Emirates.
Dubai? I don't, but some people do.
Okay, so Dubai's clearly struggling.
By what metric?
Once again, Tory Holt gets snubbed.
It's also
civil liberties, the fact that a society that's built on.
But my boy Stafford took home that MVP.
Exploited to fuck immigrant labor. What? Like, yeah, a majority of the immigrant population that is basically exploited to the hilt to uphold their economy. It's probably not the best example.
Well, I mean, so
would you rather live in the Emirates or America, wherever you're from?
Well, so let's shade in red pill a little bit.
Well, that depends. If I'm an oil prince, or if I'm Papa Gibbs the rancher. If I'm the oil prince, I'd probably rather be that guy. But like, if I'm just average immigrant that's over there, and the Emirates.
How fucking stupid is that, dude? Yeah, if I'm super rich in that country, I'd rather be the super rich guy in that country.
Well, I don't. Really, it's all matter of perspective.
Well, the average person generally, right? And the average person in the Emirates is a lot.
You ask which ones are successful. I think by any metric, we can argue the Emirates or Dubai are successful, and they do exclude women. I mean, Saudis, they're another one. They have women in the workforce somewhat now, but even until recently, I mean, I guess it was during the second Gulf War, they finally were allowed to drive, right? Like, it's like you can't say that society isn't able to function without women when we have numerous examples of arguably successful or highly successful societies that exclude women to some extent, like these countries. Now, whether or not that's morally right is a whole different debate, but
you also understand. You're kind of both giving yourselves away right here when you say that they exclude women from the workforce, because the women who are excluded from the workforce in these countries are locals. Locals are the minority in the Emirates. Emirati women don't work as much. Even then, they still do. Like I've lived in the Emirates. I've known Emirati women who worked in offices and universities, so they do work. But obviously, immigrant women, they work plenty. They do plenty of work. So, but you're missing the fact that most women who live in the Emirates are not Emirati, right? They're immigrants and they work.
Well, whether they're your claim was that without women, society would essentially struggle. My claim is literally the foundation of the infrastructure that allows us to have clean water, food, all of these other things. Women couldn't do it. I'm not saying they shouldn't be in the workforce. I'm just observing the facts. And so the red pill would acknowledge this fact. The other thing is I'm going to pick on Gibbs just a little bit. Andrew gets misconstrued as being red pill. He denies that he's red pill. He says he's a Christian ethicist. But I would say that I think if we're looking for a better example of red pill, like red pill's descriptive. It's just, this is the way that things are as they sit now. Now, Myron and Andrew Tate, you bring up as examples. I think it's fair to say they say at a minimum some fairly misogynistic things. And I'm a huge fan of women. I think they should be treated equally under the law. That doesn't mean I think that we have to ignore the fact that society has largely become, Western society in particular, has largely become heavily gynocentric, and the red pill is largely the movement that's acknowledging this.
But
how is Western society gynocentric?
You agree they're adjacent, right? You agree he's at least adjacent. Right?
Yeah,
I think he has an internal identity issue.
About the Wilson thing, but go ahead, I want to respond.
Well,
and I want to get a couple other people in here too. I know Red's been waiting, and Captain may have some things, so go ahead.
Oh, I was just asking what you mean by gynocentric. Like, why is the West gynocentric?
Like the West is designed around infantilizing and making life easier for women, giving them things like preferential treatment in education for more than 4 decades, preferential treatment in hiring, preferential treatment in the law. We look at sentences, the amount of guys that actually face things like homelessness, that face things like mental health care, lots of different issues. Western society treats men as disposable and adores women. And I'm not saying we shouldn't love women, I'm saying we shouldn't shit on men. And the red pill critics are generally gynocentric.
I would say that what's probably more infantilizing are the countries you cited earlier that tell women that they're too incompetent to drive cars. That's probably the more infantilizing version. Okay, so
agreed. Not the point though.
Okay, so what are we talking about infantilizing? What compared to countries that are unsuccessful to exclude women? Because
I'm not even doing a comparison. I'm just saying on its face, when we have a society that gives legal preference, gives educational preference, gives all sorts of preferences towards one gender, that's a preference. It's the centrism. I think it's a pretty easy argument to follow. Men are 9 times more likely to take their life after a divorce. Do you think that that's neutral?
Depending on why they do it, men are more likely to take their lives after a divorce.
Depending on why they do it.
Yes, it matters why they do it, because how do you link it to gynocentrism? Why is that the reason that men kill themselves more often?
If after divorce, women were 9 times more likely to take their lives, there'd be riots in the streets about it. But since it's men, you don't even want to acknowledge it's a problem.
I can acknowledge it's a
problem. That's the problem I have
with
folks that are critical of red pill.
Excuse me, I acknowledge problems with men all the time. The problem is that I tend to hear from people who call themselves red pillars, actually, is when they talk about men, I can see why men want to kill themselves, because all the solutions that they offer are dog shit. Grind out, get fucking totally fucking jacked.
What about
the way that they talk about women as like fucking objects to be hunted down and like treated like some kind of like input and output machine to be won over? Yeah, no wonder some of these men are miserable and they got nothing to look forward to. What?
Listen, I have my own issues with the red pill. I agree. I think men are the cause of most men's problems. Severe case of pussitis and bitch assness going around America and all around. I agree. I think that's a problem. However, some of the prescriptions that these red pillers do have, I think, are beneficial. You just mentioned getting jacked, right? Like, I gotta be honest. I was last January, I was like 380. I'm down 300, right? Good for me, yay. But like, just from doing that, I feel better. I just go out, and I know Andrew Tate famously, too many goddamn Andrews, said famously, he goes, hey, you're gonna kill yourself. Okay, well, kill yourself after you get a six pack. And the guy messaged him back later, goes, oh, I didn't do that. Suddenly women were interested in me. All these other things, and like, I think there is something to be said for the pull yourself up from the bootstraps mentality, and that's why I advocate for that a lot. Like, okay, you know how to be a bitch? Don't be a bitch. Go to the gym. Go work out. Maybe go to invest in some businesses. Get 2 jobs. Have money, and then once you have money, then you can see all the benefits. Now, you don't like that, I guess, because you want everything handed to you. But I say want everything handed to you. So, well, first of all, there's a difference between going to the gym and being healthy and feeling good about yourself versus just getting jacked. Like, even every bodybuilder on earth will tell you, if they're honest, that get jacked is not like a healthy thing, right? And as far as women, yeah, it might make more women swipe on you on a dating app, but in terms of actually what I think men really want, which is forming emotional connections and actually like growing to love someone and build something with them, you're never going to run out of sad after you get laid?
Let Lorna finish, please.
Well, yeah, have you ever been like after you just literally right after you climaxed? Have you ever been like immediately sad, just like, oh no, I hate my life? Like, no, right? Because why?
Wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Sometimes
I'm about to explain. Like, so generally, unless you have something emotional on breaking up with you and like breakup sex, if you're getting laid semi-regularly, you're going to be happier as a person. So if you're getting jacked and swipes on the dating apps, yeah, that directly correlates to happiness. Do you disagree?
Not to happiness, no. To pleasure, yes, not happiness. Those are not the same thing.
Okay, I want to before we go too.
Wait, the more intelligent guy in the room, Stream Riff. Do you think that pleasure and happiness are the same thing?
I didn't say they were the same thing.
I was just going to back me up. I know, they're obviously not. Right? You can have all the pleasure in the world and be a totally miserable fuck, right?
Well, there's happiness, there's contentment, there's pleasure. These are different definable things. Yes, absolutely. I'll give you that for free.
Okay, I do want to make sure that Red Jacket gets in here a little. Red Jacket, you had some issues. Go ahead.
Oh, are we moving away from the red pill?
It's up to you. What do you want?
I'm not interested in continuing to pursue this because as like a woman, I can't really agree with any of this stuff. It's kind of generally disgusting.
Yeah, you're not very agreeable.
Yeah, what?
Whoa.
Oh, you said you're a woman, you're not agreeing. You're not being very agreeable.
I can't personally find myself agreeing with any of the stuff that says that I'm like disgusting and stuff like that. Like, I would have to agree with Lorna Books there. Generally on like all of that, I would if I had to say whether I was like considered as a citizen of a Western country, whether I am considered like in my family the focus or like as like a single daughter. I don't think that I would be like I'm not the object of everyone's attention, and no one's breaking the backs to try to satisfy me. I don't think it's really. I don't think it's good to just say like women get everything and men get nothing. I think it's kind of like weird. I'm gonna have to not agree with any of it.
Do you have anything though? That's fair. But do you have anything that you disagree with Lonerbox, like an issue that you wanted to talk to him about? Go ahead.
So my understanding is that generally Lonerbox is kind of like a socialist and also a leftist. But he called himself in his introduction that he called himself middle of the road and evidence based. When those positions and general leftism aren't like. They're highly subjective, aren't they?
Well, can I ask just before you go on, can I just ask Lonerbox,
first of all, I haven't called myself a socialist for a good while now. I'd be more of a social democrat, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all lie.
So socialist,
I guess.
It's okay. No, a social democrat's not a socialist. I know Americans struggle with this. I know, like, because the first time I ever visited, how do you draw that distinction? Because one of them is compatible with free markets and capitalism, the other one's not. You can have private property in one of them, and you can't have it in the other.
So where does the social part come in?
Wait, do you disagree with that? Do you disagree with the fact that you can't have private property in a communist society, but you can have it actually flourishing in a social democrat society?
So what I'm saying is I don't know your words. So when you're saying socialist and then you say Democrat, social, or social democrat, to me there's a distinction that doesn't make a huge difference. So I'd like your understanding of it.
Okay, so
I agree there's a difference. I want to know.
Okay, so yeah, about 100 years ago, you had like the communist revolutionaries, the socialists, and the Marxists who believed that they wanted to overthrow capitalism. They thought the society was workers and bosses, and we need to get rid of the bosses and give the means of production and the wealth to the people. Brackets the government, right? Social democrats were people who spun off of that movement, and they decided that actually destroying capitalism, Soviet Union, etc., was not a good idea. That we can be compatible with capitalism, but we also realized that in capitalist society it produces some ills. And I think in Britain, one of the very popular documents for this was called the Beveridge Report, where they identified like the sicknesses of society, like idleness and ignorance and squalor and like disease and stuff like that. So and capitalism didn't really have the best answer to these questions. So they believed that there should be some parts of society that we agree are supported by taxpayers and by the state. So in the UK, that became like the healthcare system. In pretty much every capitalist society, we do this with to a degree with infrastructure, military, police. A social democrat is basically just the argument that there are parts of social welfare that should be supported that are better served by the taxpayer than by private markets. That's it.
So not meant as a dunk, but do you think in shorthand it would be fair to say that's like socialism light, L-I-T-E?
No.
Okay, so it's socialized healthcare.
It derives some from like socialist principles, maybe. But then even the problem with that is like a state military socialist light rather than a private military.
No, that's ridiculous.
That's wait, why though? Why?
I'll tell you why. Hold on. Because one, that's a libertarian argument, and we all know libertarians are full of bullshit. And two, like, listen, just because a government exists doesn't make it inherently socialist. And they're saying any government ever, which is a libertarian argument, is socialist by nature, right? Like, the problem I'm having is you can be, like, say, let's take the Nazis, for example. A lot of people don't want to call them actual socialists, right? Because the party owned all these businesses and not the government itself. That's also socialism, right?
Private enterprise is also, the private enterprise is still
okay, and whenever you're 100% owned by everybody in the party being in the Nazi party.
No, that's not how the Nazi party worked. What are you talking about? The Nazis had private industry.
It is absolutely how it works. You just don't know history, and that's fine. But what we're going to sit here and talk about today,
oh my God,
absolutely advocate advocate for socialism.
Idiot.
Okay.
And, yeah, you could.
I just
let Loner respond. Let Loner
Red
respond.
Jacket. Well, I didn't finish my point. But yeah, hold on.
Finish your point, and then let him respond.
Yeah,
we're not.
Like, Red Jacket hit the nail on the head. You came in and you acted like you're middle of the road, and you're going, oh, I'm going to be here in the social dim or something along the lines. Where, like Schumer said, it's a distinction without a real difference, right? You're going to come in and advocate for all these policies that are going to push for these things that are going to lead into greater socialism. You know, it's just one step on the path, and you're just going to deny that, but it's really the truth.
Okay, so the most redistributive social democrat prime minister that this country ever had was also the closest we ever had to McCarthyism. Communists hated Clement Attlee for the guy who built the NHS, the guy who introduced like the state pension fund. Communists despised this man because he basically rescued capitalism in their eyes. Like, you don't understand the difference. I know that America's never really had to deal with this problem, God bless you, but yeah, no, you're not. There's obviously a distinction. When it comes to the other question about the Nazis, please just like do some Googling or just look around. No, the Nazi state did not own all the means of production. There were private.
Papers on political theory, got certificates.
I don't care how many papers.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't care how many papers you've written. Was Hugo Boss owned by the state or was it private?
Okay, and was Hugo Boss a member of the Nazi Party, or was he a member of what other party?
Wait, so because there's
if you're all owned by the same, so this is what I'm saying. If you're
they weren't
a part
owned
of the
though
party,
by the state.
Everybody's owned by everybody's in the party. I know, I understand that, and I mentioned this if you've been listening, but I know you weren't. I said, hey, it's just one level difference. Instead of the state directly owning it, they just said you can't be a business owner unless you're a member of the party, and the party directly owns it. So it's one step removed. That's what I said, which is accurate historically, and that's why you're sitting here going, Hugo Boss, or whatever. Exactly. It's my point proven. You just weren't listening, but that's okay. Good job, Dad. Good try though.
So you acknowledge that there was private industry in Nazi Germany, right?
Do you
That's all I
want
wanted.
Are you really confused?
Just say yes, Gibbs. Give it for free. Then he has to be less of a dick.
It's not private. It's not private. I guess it's quasi-private. It's like if the Communist Party owns every business, is it really free? Is it really private enterprise? I guess. No.
Well, no, it's actually directed by the state. Is the difference. Because their economies and their activity was planned by the state.
So if the Nazi Party owns the thing, they make a directive to the Nazi Party.
Okay, Gibbs. Take a chill pill. Take it down from 10 to.
I mean, we're at like 2, but I mean, I'm just asking a quick question here. It's simple. If the party owns a business and the business is private, and then the party leadership issues a directive to the party, and does that business now have to follow the rules of the party?
Didn't. Yeah, so the party didn't own the party members didn't own all the businesses. There were businesses in Germany that existed for long before the Nazi Party, and they kept their businesses. Some of them. What you're trying to say is
some of them, the majority of them did.
Hold on,
no. What you're trying to say is that for the war effort, a lot of private businesses were subsumed by the party and given directions by the party, and agreements were made, and people were obviously like threatened, and they basically had to do what they were told. That did happen during the war economy, but that doesn't mean that the Nazis were socialist. The Nazis, who did they kill in the Night of Long Knives again? Oh, it was the ones who wanted to put the socialism into national socialism, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just
it was international.
The communists that killed each other during the communists. They killed the White Army, the Red Army. You remember these different groups? Same thing.
I want to give the mic back to Red Jacket just for a minute.
I'd like to go eventually.
Okay.
Maybe. No. What?
Well,
okay.
she
I
said one
given
word.
the mic back to her, and she left. Hopefully she'll be back
I think
soon.
it probably disconnected.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, in the meantime, then, I guess let's try Perry Welk. Perry Welk, do you have an issue with Lonerbox today?
I guess issue with more like progressive policy. Not that I have super big issues with it. I'm not a conservative. I'm more of a centrist. But I do have some questions about like general progressivism, social democracy, and the culture war, if it even is called that anymore.
Centrist.
So, Lonerbox. Do you generally agree with the idea that we should be trying to include as many people? You should be trying to include as many people into your movement as possible.
Should I be trying to include as many people into the movement as possible? Within reason. There are obviously some people who are destructive parts of the movement. I don't know what the purpose would be in me including like a Nazi into the movement.
Well, not a Nazi, more like a otherkin. Have you ever heard of like what otherkin is?
Yeah, I know otherkin. Yeah, I'm familiar. I've known one.
So would you consider them like to be oppressed, or are they not oppressed?
Oh boy.
I don't know if they're necessarily oppressed as otherkin. They're probably oppressed in the sense that they're, depending on where they're from.
I have a question.
They're probably victims of like general queerphobia. Yeah.
Otherkin, just for my audience's edification and mine, just so I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the people who are like, I'm a werewolf? And
yeah,
I'm a
and the
vampire,
people
and I'm
more
a
generally
planet,
like, oh sorry.
Right? Like they believe that they're like a werewolf or a vampire or a planet or something.
Yeah, and then there's the Therians who believe that they're actually animals. Although I'm just using otherkin just kind of as a catch-all term for both of those guys.
I'd say they're about as oppressed as furries. No, not really. It's not really. I wouldn't call that oppression.
Okay.
No.
Not oppressed enough.
Wick.
Okay.
Not oppressed
Not
enough.
oppressed enough.
Because
but
I always.
Can you get to the actual?
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Is what I wanted to talk about is I hear this sentiment on the left where it's like, well, we gotta respect people's identities. We gotta affirm whatever they say about themselves. And if you look at the logical conclusion of that, it does ultimately lead to you thinking that you can self-identify as like a dog or a unicorn.
I know I see a lot of this online. In real life, I feel like there is not nearly enough of it for me to consider there to be a big issue going on. As far as transgender identities, obviously people are much more likely to advocate for those because they actually make sense. And there is actually some psychological literature that backs them as a valid identity. That's not just something that you can teach or therapize out of someone or therapy out of someone. When it comes to otherkin and all that, I think this is just an online phenomenon. Most people don't give a fuck. And if it bothers you, honestly, I think an otherkin or its pronouns or a dear person, if you don't want to call them those pronouns, they probably don't want to be your friends. So just leave them alone and they'll do their thing. But beyond that, yeah, that's not an issue to me.
Okay.
Do you think like trans stuff is generally like a social construct, or do you think it's actually like a biological thing that like the brain scans, if you've ever heard of those studies?
Yeah, so I've read a couple of papers about this. There was one pretty convincing one I heard that like when it comes to trans people, obviously the brain is it's not like cleanly dimorphic at all. There's a massive window for each kind of like variable, whether it's like gray matter or cortical thickness or superior frontal gyrus sizes. Like there's a big range for men, there's a range for women. I think when it comes to trans people, they maybe for trans women, like they might have some like parts of their brain will be closer to the range of a woman's than a man's. Other parts will be about the same. I think the most confident thing I can say on that, like from memory, is like there is a difference. Like they do seem to have their own different like levels of like measurements or whatever the fuck, like hormonal levels and things like that. So that makes sense. It definitely has more backing than any of the other identities, and I don't think there's really been any evidence that you can like teach someone to become trans and then teach them to become untrans. It seems like the conversion therapy or like
well, that's something Judith Butler
not really,
might say. Oh, sorry.
It's not really like backed by anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are people who say that, oh, well, gender is a social construct, but I do kind of agree with you on that, where it's like the studies show that the world operates this way, and specifically with people's brains, and yeah, it's not just a social construct. I think you made some good point there.
Great, we solved that issue. Let's cycle out a little bit, and let's bring in a couple more people. Streamer, if you had some other issues in the meantime?
Well, I want to go back to this socialism versus democratic socialism. Is that what you're calling it?
No,
whatever
social democrat. Democratic socialists are they're different.
Okay, thank you. I like using the right word. So the problem is once you get some socialism involved, that's now manipulating whatever percentage of the economy that is, and necessarily hijacks everything else, or at least impacts it. So whether you have a little bit of socialism or a lot of socialism, you're still seeing government market manipulation. And like that's where the horror is. So
yeah.
Okay. I would like to.
Hold on. Let him answer.
Okay.
You'll get your turn. Promise.
I just piggyback off that real quick. I think a good example of this is the ag market, and this is actually a criticism I have of Trump's, right? Previously we've had corn subsidies, right? They go into the corn, and it's kind of like ag is an interconnected web, right? Like as all economies are. And so everybody went to corn, they stopped producing a lot of grain, grain-fed beef kind of died off, and grass-fed beef is on the rise, right? Well, now we want to import Argentina beef. Well, we have all the same problems in Argentina that they do in America, and now the whole beef industry worldwide is at risk. If like the botflies come up into Texas, it'll ruin the American beef industry. If Paraguay or Uruguay has some kind of issue disease-wise, the beef industry will crash. And I think this market manipulation, whenever the government steps in the industries, is very dangerous. And that's exactly the kind of socialism that I think we should be concerned about. And at times seems to be the kind of socialism you're advocating for.
When I look at the Human Development Index and how well people are doing and how people enjoy their welfare states, it seems like some of the top countries are the ones that actually do the most social spending per capita, whether it's like the Scandinavian countries or even the UK or even Germany. I'm sorry, like I've been to America, I've spoken to Americans, I've spoken to Americans who have their positions on like or have experience with the healthcare system. I don't know personally, I love my healthcare system, I love my free healthcare, I love my free prescriptions, I love my fucking tap water. It is manna from the heavens. It's all government funded and it's quite nice actually. I don't want what you guys have, sorry. And if we do decide that we want what you guys want, we'll vote for it.
But Loaderbox, I've had friends, Modi, for example, if y'all know Modi, he came over here, he was astounded. Something that he would have to get a prescription for and wait 3 or 4 hours at the ER or whatever kind of little place y'all got. He was like, oh, I can just go to HEB and buy it over the counter. Like, in some ways, this is just way better. And like, you're going to say, well, it's free. Well, it's free, but then you have to wait 3 hours, and then you can only get this one thing versus I can go buy my fucking NyQuil, here down at the, grocery store. I mean, that might not be the perfect example, but like, you understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of these that y'all have overregulated that anybody should be able to just go get if they want to go get it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. If I didn't want to wait for my ADHD meds, so I buy them. You can do either. You can choose to go private, or you can choose to use the healthcare system.
Okay, I want to get some.
But I like having the option. The free option is there. Okay, and that's like and some people need it. I don't need it.
Yeah, I want to give a chance to the other people here. We got Z and 2 owls, 1 coat. Let's start with Z, I suppose, and then we'll go 2 owls, 1 coat.
Yeah, no, it's very easy to pronounce my name. It's just Ziglefant.
Okay, Ziglefant. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of taking a different angle because I'm a leftist, but I personally think that Lonerbox isn't hard enough left. So that's just kind of no. Okay, I know that Gibbs is laughing here, but I also think that he's a dumbest. So I don't really care.
Whoa.
Okay, well,
no,
it's not Gibbs. It's Lonerbox.
I'm not passionate. I was just laughing.
Lonerbox, how he's a figure as a leftist.
Hold on. Yes. Well, how is he not leftist enough? Go ahead.
Okay. So I think that being a social democrat is mid as fuck, and I think that being a liberal is also mid as.
Oh no, she sucks. See, we don't want this kind of person. This is the kind of person that makes these people be fucking crazy.
Fuck, but I know that he's not a liberal. I know he's a leftist. But I think that being a social democrat, I don't know, it's just kind of like not, it's really un-gay because it's just like, dang, like you believe in capitalism, but you're trying to like inject little doses of socialism. And it's like,
yeah,
dang, why?
Dumbass, because going full capitalism or full socialism doesn't fucking work because you're thinking on ideological terms and not practical terms. And you can even tell that by the way you're talking about it. It's so fucking retarded.
I don't just go all the way. Okay, and I know that it sounds like, okay, I know that this is what they think that Lonerbox is inside. I know I'm the manifestation of like why socialism is bad and stuff. But no, I actually believe this. I think that being a social democrat is just kind of like, it's just like, why not go all the way, you know?
I was just laughing because it was
why not go full leftist?
Why actually, why do you believe in capitalism? I think that the workers should own the means of production, and I think that communism is kind of what we should move for, and like straight up, full stop. Also, I'm an anarchist.
Okay.
Oh no, let's think about it.
I was going to ask which non.
Excuse me, I'm puking right now. This person sounds like they're in their early 20s in college and has like no experience beyond just pure academia.
Capitalist country or even area in the world that we're trying to emulate here, because obviously when I see North Korea and China and the Soviet Union and China,
I don't like North Korea. I don't like.
Yeah, I know you don't, but like that's the problem. You've got the luxury of advocating for a system that doesn't exist, and that's really nice if you want to make everything, because everything else looks bad in comparison to utopia. But I mean, I like anarchists. Okay, one of my fucking exes is an anarchist. We got on really well. The thing with anarchists is that like whatever they do, like when anarchists do things like mutual aid and they build up parallel structures and they build their own clubs, I love that. But they seem to do it most successfully within capitalist countries. Like so, that's what's the breeding ground of like anarchists? It's in capitalist states. Yeah.
As a result of that state being capitalist.
100%. Yeah, the fact that they have the freedom to do it.
The freedom to do it. Do you think that the freedom to advocate for certain political things is derived from capitalism?
There's a bit of a Venn diagram. I would say I don't think it's derived from capitalism. They just seem to overlap a bit. Yeah.
I don't think correlation equals causation, because I think that even though okay, here's what I'm looking at, right? So we have the quote unquote communist countries like North Korea and whatever the fuck, who they're like and fuck what is it? What's the other one? The Soviet Union. I'm going to use it as an example. They don't like really like okay. They don't like have a okay. Fuck. They have oligarchies, but they don't have. Sorry, autism. Okay. Okay. So they don't have capital. They don't have capital, but. Fuck, what was my point? I forgot. Okay, fuck. Okay, guys, you can go forward. Lead the attack. Your communist comrade is gonna,
Yeah,
okay,
let's see what 2 Hours 1 Coat has to say. 2 Hours 1 Coat, what do you have for Loner Box?
Oh, no.
Let's say, I mostly agree with Loner Box most of the things. I think that he is actually very practical and
That's what happens when you talk to fucking communist anarchists.
Blah, 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 shit like that. Very rational. But I guess the only qualms I would have is, I think I saw you give your opinion on this, but if you could give it again, please. What is your opinion on guns in the American context, the Second Amendment?
Yeah, I think if people want to own their guns, they can go ahead. Why not? Seems like if they like it, it's fine. I'm a bit surprised that so many Second Amendment people recently, after the Peretti shooting, after the ICE shootings. It is no. Sorry, I will do that. It's not dishonest. The NRA put out a statement that made it basically sound like they were.
Fuck the NRA.
But it's not a bit ironic when you have people like fucking Trump, the president, saying, "Oh, I don't like it that he had a gun." I'm sorry. No, if you want the Second Amendment, that also means you have to acknowledge that Democrats are going to own guns as well. Sorry, and communists might own guns.
Committing a felony obstructing law enforcement with a gun. That's the hang-up.
He wasn't
that he had a gun.
Obstructing law enforcement with a gun. The thing he obstructed law enforcement with was his arm, and he went, whoa.
Hold on.
Are you okay?
Are
you okay, lady?
Lonerbox actually right here. Like if you own guns and you're like a Texan, right? You're like, I own guns to fight the government. And I actually the same with Dim's doing this to some extent. Like you're going to be like resisting the government, which would be the cops. If you have guns like that, like, you can't be a Republican and go, I'm pro 2A, and then be pissed when the Black Panthers walk around with guns. I'm for one going, hell yeah, brother, have your guns, walk around. If you want to resist, let's see who wins. That's kind of like what you should be doing. Like it's kind of. I know I'm dog eat dog world kind of guy, but it's based that at least he agrees with that. I don't know. I kind of am breaking with you on that one, stream with.
Here's the issue. Admiral Gibbs assumes that all Republicans are constitutionalists. They're very obviously not. Second of all, you said that we should be angry at it, but
I was mainly like lumping them in there for ease of argument.
Yeah, I know. But I would say that answer I actually disagree with Zigapon's earlier assumption. I think Lonerbox is a liberal. I do, from everything I've seen of it, and with that question more thoroughly answered, I do believe he believes in the, I don't want to say classical liberal, fucking Sargon, poisoned that word, what the hell, more liberal, and I don't think his, how to put it, his moral compass would point to him being a socialist, so I think some of your criticisms, Gibbs and Rift, are pointedly, more poignant when talking to people like Zigofant?
Sycophant?
Or what was the person who was on talking about anarchism.
But not Loner.
I was just laughing because it was
Loner
seems,
yeah, I know. I think Loner is very solidly a good, unlike Destiny, a good model for the left.
I would trade Destiny for Lonerbox, 100%.
Let's go.
Destiny's not much of a liberal anymore. He's kind of gotten the.
Just hold on. This also isn't. Okay, just a little housekeeping here, gang. I'm looking for people with issues with Lonerbox, right? Not to glaze, right, or anything like that. I'm sure Lonerbox appreciates it, but we're looking for some conflict here. And gang, if you want to get in on this and you have some questions for him, if you have some issues with him, jump backstage. We got the Discord link. Click in my YouTube. It's pinned. Click the link. Accept the rules by clicking my face emoji and then jumping backstage, and we'll pull you in. With that. Is there anything else you had specifically 2 hours, 1 coat? Otherwise, we're going to move to some other people.
It's been a while, but I can't really, other than maybe the contention of guns, I think me and Lonerbox will not in perfect agreement. Agree on that. So it's like the only one to come in. All right, love you guys. You have a good one. All right,
okay. I guess my question for you, while we wait a little bit for a couple other people to get here, Lonerbox, what is your position on Hutch versus Pisco. Are you Team Hutch or are you Team Pisco? Really curious.
Over what was the debate again? I've forgotten.
Okay, Hutch thinks that, sure. Hutch thinks that people like Kyle Kalinske, Hassan, the Vanguard, etc., are not on our team. They are a detriment to the party, to Democrats as a whole, and we should be criticizing them and punching left, so to speak. As I understand it, Pisco thinks that Hutch is spending too much time and that there's some.
Oh yeah, I remember. I'm sorry. Okay. The opportunity loss argument doesn't very little sense to me. So for one, I do think that these leftists do deserve at least a bit of criticism from Democrats because they are not the same. They don't want the same thing. My bar for Democrats is quite low. Like just support the party. But these people don't support the party. They don't support the party. They shit on the party. They give their audience like every round of ammunition possible to hate the party. They're not doing it from within, no matter how much they try to pretend that they are. They should form their own party. That's what we do in Europe. Like that's why in Europe we don't have this problem. We have social democrat parties that are tax and spend and they're funded by unions, but they also like private businesses and businesses support them sometimes. That's one side, and then we have the communist parties who no one likes and fuck them, right? That's why America needs that as well. Start a new party, or just vote green.
Look, just to clarify, what do you see the difference between? Because I've heard that argument for the Republican side too. They're like, oh, MAGA isn't like the neocons. MAGA is not like the Tea Party. What do you see as the fundamental difference between like Hassan and his like ilk or whatever y'all want to call him, and like say MAGA like taking over from within like the Republican?
Because Trump and MAGA conquered the Republican Party, whereas I'd rather so far communists haven't conquered the Democratic Party. I'd rather they don't.
Because it's not successful.
It wouldn't be. Yeah, they're not successful. Yeah, like obviously it's kind of like seeing like if you saw the Tea Party in 2012 and you told them, oh yeah, you guys are going to get someone who's actually like a lot more what you'd identify with maybe a decade or half a decade down the line. I hope that doesn't happen to the Democratic Party. I hope that people still care about the things that actually made America a good country rather than binning it all. And the thing with like the punching left is that people might say it's like reducing numbers or whatever like that, but like the problem is that when I feel like I have to defend leftism or Democrats, and even with this thing going on right now, I feel like I have to answer for a bunch of things that people who are seen as Democrats, but like Hassan and all that, even though I don't identify with it in the slightest. And the problem is that they are much more. All I see is much more destructive behavior towards the Democrats than anything constructive. Like because all they want is for the Democrats to basically adopt their platform, and if they don't, then they're just going to relentlessly rag on them. And even to the point where you see Democratic candidates saying like a primary, the most vicious and brutal attacks they get are from the leftists, and some of these are some of the same attacks that Trump uses. So it's a problem when you have people who are like, oh yeah, I'm going to be part of the Democratic Party, I'm going to support them, I'm going to support my candidate. But until then, I'm going to call Pete Buttigieg a rat who's selling out his sexuality. I'm going to call Kamala Harris someone who is jailing tens of thousands of people for smoking weed. She didn't do that. I'm going to call Gavin Newsom gruesome Gav, the same insult that Trump uses. But then also afterwards, we'll still support the party, kind of like by telling our audience that there's a lesser of two evils. Like, no, that's not meaningful. But I will say, obviously most of the attacks should go on MAGA. Hutch is like one of 4 or 5 people in this space who bash left. So it's not like there could be any less, really. You reduce what? Hutch, Destiny, me, who else is punching left to any significant degree from the Democrats? There's not that much of it that I see. So it's probably a reasonable amount.
Well, that means I don't have an issue. I 100% agree with your take, Lonerbox, so I can't get in on this. Let me read a few super chats and we'll get this new person in. We'll keep it going. $50 from Dirty Deeds for Free. Says, let me at them. As an American, I think I might be able to speak their language. Again, if you want to fight Stream Rift and Gibbs, you could do that, but today's the Lonerbox day, okay? Today's the Lonerbox day. $5 from Robert Paulson to say, can you please make the used burger salesman on the top left stop interrupting? Okay, thank you for the $5. $5 from Alishness. What is Lonerbox's position on excluding or ousting people from the party who don't hold his position?
Well, any position. Again, I am all for diversity of opinion, and I think Keir Starmer went way too far. For example, he purged the shit out of every like communist or like Corbyn person in his party, and some of it was just for the most trivial reasons. If someone is a democratic socialist and they believe in co-ops and they believe in a Green New Deal and they believe in more aggressive tax and spend and socializing healthcare, and all that, that's fine. Just support the party. Just and support
the debate right now. How's it going?
It's going all right.
No?
It's snowing here.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. We've been in, it snowed a week and a half, about 10 days ago. And, schools have been out for 10 plus days. There's just huge piles of snow and because it had iced over and stuff. It's going to get really cold tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, it's been nice and warm here. It's about to get a little bit colder, but it's been super warm here the last week or so. It was 70s and 80s.
That's sweet.
A little crazy, though, if you ask me. Anyway, what else is new?
Nothing. I just looked at the politics general, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Wait, which part?
I don't know. Just Thanos and his obsession with mentioning pedophilia every 3 seconds, and I'm like, bro. It's not just that, as it's just a pattern of behavior that's annoying.
I know. Yeah, I wish you'd grow up.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you gonna do?
I mean, I hope that all of you lefties or Democrats, anybody listening, realizes that, like, I think you guys are just as culpable. You know, like, it's like, oh, you worship your pedo satanic master, and I'm like, I think that's more than just him, buddy.
Like, are you saying there are Dems here? There are Dems that would.
I'm just saying there's Dems implicated in it as well. So just like, let's not forget that you know, there's a pretty cast of characters in there.
Nobody in my chat is gonna deny that. Anybody who's implicated.
Yeah, it's not really directed at you or your chat. I'm just saying, hey, by the way.
Yeah, no, like we don't give a shit. Like, you know, fuck them all.
Yeah. What's up, Ghost? I watched a weird video from Sam Harris last night. Like I've seen a couple videos, and it's like this weird kind of defensive, like, well, I can't really believe that people would be involved with that, so there must be another answer. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like, I don't know, dude.
That is the answer, my dude.
I don't know if Noam Chomsky was just about the philanthropy anymore. I don't know.
Oh, the Noam Chomsky one is really funny to me because like the far leftists are super purists and they think they're all amazing and incredible.
That's where the umph in my little speech there about, hey, you Democrats and leftists.
Yeah, well, no, because like regular liberal Democrats, right? We're just like, bro, anybody's a pedo, fucking get rid of him. We don't give a shit, right?
Yeah.
But like the far leftists who are like super morally attached to their positions.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, I saw Sam Harris like do some weird apologia, like, and I'm like, what the? Bro.
Daniel says they goon to Chomsky. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, you know, obviously we don't know, but it's just more of a wider point about, like, yeah, you know, I'm like, yeah, there's Trump, and then there's the rest of them.
Yep. Yeah, it's, you know, it's just interesting to see how all these holier than thou far leftists, instead of being like, yeah, you know what, that was one of our guys and he fucked up, fuck him, they're all starting to be like, well, you know, he wasn't a real leftist, actually. He actually was okay.
Yeah, it's this weird apologia. They're like, well, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, look, we can, you know, that was kind of the base assumption with philanthropy, right? It was like, okay, they need money for grants and stuff. I'm like, I don't know. It seems a little more involved in that.
Yeah. So it's pretty fucking funny to me, like the reaction. And I'm just like, dude, like whenever you do this and you don't accept fault, you just look like, well, like they call them blue MAGA, you know? That's what y'all look like. Oh. It's like fucking blue MAGA.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you just won't accept fault with your people because you're just like, no, my guys are so great. Anyone who believes what I do must be so amazing. There's no way they did anything wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with like sex crimes. I mean, at least in my experience, and I mean, I can't really go into it, you know, on a federal level, but in like my personal experience, I'm like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, it's kind of like drugs in many respects. I'm like, it does not discriminate.
What matters is our plan. The only requirement leftists have is if you're anti-West, anything is okay. In general, for at least the liberals here, if someone is guilty, they can make love to a cactus. I agree, Daniel. It's just, I mean, I guess they are consistent in a way. It's just, very frustrating consistency, because the consistency is that they will consistently defend anybody who agrees with them, no matter what they do. Yeah. Yeah. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. But, you know, lefties got a lefty. Oh, are you at like a store or something?
Oh, sorry, I was just mixing my coffee.
Oh, I thought I heard like a...
That was a little
like
chime noise, yeah. The spoon hitting my cup.
Yeah. radiation block. Might have to deal with my heat issue up in here. Anyway, we're going to dive back into this debate. You can watch with us on Kick if you like. It's pretty interesting. Also a little frustrating.
The party in good faith and don't smear the shit out of half the candidates and spend 364 days saying that fucking Holocaust Harris is going to be the same as Trump when it comes to fucking Gaza, and then on the last day of the year say, oh yeah, you know, there's lesser two evils, I guess. Fuck that.
Okay. $2 from...
They're already on their way there, Daniel. They're already on their way to that. They already started saying, well, you know, he's not actually a real leftist.
Skull Johnson, make America gay again.
So it's only a matter of time.
I do appreciate that. Okay, what do you got, new guy?
CIA, Mossad
let's see.
plan.
Where to start? You know, first of all, Lonerbox.
With these kinds of people, it's only a matter of time before they start to blame the Jews. It's always that way.
To pick, are you voting for Hassan or Trump?
Opposition,
and I'll specify because Pisco's question was incredibly idiotic on this the first time. But assuming Hassan had the exact same support level as Trump.
Don't know, dude. Am I voting Trump or Stalin? Tough one. Man, there's so many fucking layers to this question. I'd probably say Hassan, but then that's like with quite a bit of hesitation, right? The problem
what are you
is
hesitating over?
The fact that Hassan wouldn't do anything with his power. The problem, Hassan doesn't scare me really in terms of having power. What does scare me is the people he emboldens. He emboldens people who support Hamas, who support the IRGC, who support the Houthis and Hezbollah and fucking the CCP, and including all of the rough shit that they do as well. I wouldn't want Hassan, like Hassan would come to power, he would do a bunch of fucking press shoots and probably do a bunch of get a whole bunch of cool clothes and fly out in his little fucking plane and shit. He wouldn't fulfill the wishes that would have got him elected. He wouldn't fulfill the things that people in his audience expect of him. And he would get fucking cooed by Zay Squirrel or Bad Evanada or some shit, and then they would just throw him in the fucking gulag right next to me. That's what would happen. And it's not even
Is that because you see like some of like what Hassan would push, like playing out in the UK with some of this like the pro Islamist like slant the UK kind of got going on right now? Is that because do you see that happening? Like, do you see more of that happening if Hassan got elected?
If you're at a state where Hassan's getting elected, yeah, there would obviously be more of that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. I guess I'm asking because you live in the UK. I'm assuming, based
oh,
on
in the UK,
is that informing your decision on this? Like, how is that? Is that like, have you seen that real time, what Hassan's policies are playing out, like, kind of over there, what he wants?
No, the people doing those protests don't have political power. I think the Gaza wing, because there's like the independents who who marketed themselves as the Gaza candidates, and I think out of 630 odd seats, they won 5. They don't have power, but they obviously have the presidency. No, but the problem with Hassan is the stuff that he espouses and the kind of people that he uplifts. So yeah, that's the problem, the ideology that he is behind.
Are you for or... Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna jump to a different question, but if you want to keep going,
do it. Go, boy.
Right,
go.
Real quick. Are you for or against U.S. strikes in Iran in order to change the regime?
I don't know if it has to be in order to change the regime. I think the moment's maybe past. Okay, so I've got if there were any other president, I would just say yes. That's it. Because that regime is absolute fucking dog shit, and they have to go. The protesters deserve all the help that they get. Even if it's not with hard means, you can still give them Starlink, and you can do things like by cyber attacking the IRGC to make it harder for them to clamp down on protesters. There's all kinds of measures that can be done to achieve that. At the stage where the crackdown was happening, is what's the ethical argument against bombing a riot police barracks before they go out and fire on protesters? I don't know why people would oppose that. Iran is not going to be like Iraq or Syria or Libya or any of these other countries because they don't have the same sectarian divides. Who are the armed militias in Iran who are going to seize the government and rule with an iron fist that's somehow worse than the IRGC? It can't get worse than the IRGC. The IRGC put the Shah's record to shame in 2 years with the amount of people they killed. So yeah, they have to go. The problem with Trump is that he seems to be making this about a nuclear deal, and the protesters have died down. So I don't know what strikes would even do now. If they're to stop them from rebuilding their nuclear, that's a different story. But yeah, Trump is not a plan. That scares me.
Just before you reply, real quick, I know Streamraft has to go, so thank you for being here, Streamraft. You might be back later. And then also $10 from Jen Wink to say this: I agree with Loner and Hutch. Why should we sit back and let the far left co-opt our party like MAGA did to the Republicans? And why did I get timed out in Lonerbox's chat? I don't know.
Probably for being a jerk.
Yeah.
He's a base interest.
I have no idea what the person did, so whatever.
Fair enough. I have no idea either. But sorry, you don't get an answer to that question because we don't know. Okay.
Quick reply to the Iran thing. I agree the time has probably passed because now they're making about nuclear deals rather than the protests, even though Trump initially said, oh, we're going to support the protests through, watch out, Iran. We're going to bomb you or something like that. And I guess the question would be, what did you think about Venezuela? Do you think, Trump has the ability constitutionally to take acts of war like this, or were you for or against that?
Based on everything I know about Venezuela, that makes so much less sense. I mean, I saw that there was some random article by making some total conjecture about Chinese missiles being sent there, but even Trump's not making that claim, or at least he's not saying it very often, which probably suggests it's not real. But yeah, Venezuela doesn't make as much sense at all. Like Iran threatens America. Iran has tried to kidnap people in America. It's tried to murder people in America with their state agents. Like there was an Iranian-American journalist in New York who the Iranian regime tried to kill like 3 times. So obviously it makes much more sense to go for it. And obviously nuclear is the highest stakes possible. Venezuela and Maduro were doing nothing compared to that in terms of like invoking the American Constitution. So sending drugs over is not a reason to go and invade and regime change a country. It doesn't make any sense.
I want to just
why? What did I miss there?
Finish your point, and I want to give it to Zoni. Yeah.
Okay. I do have one quick thing to address. I'll skip the Iran question then. Lonerbox, unban me from your Discord.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just can't believe that.
I was unjustly banned.
I like, maybe it's because I live like near the border and like I'm seeing stuff, but like for example, I'll give you an example. Trinidad, which is backed by the Venezuelan government, right? They literally were taking over apartment complexes here in San Antonio. And I actually got mad during one of the debates. I think it was with Wick, we were out here watching the debate, and he brought up Aurora, and I'm like, I wish he had not brought up Aurora because that was controversial, and he brought up San Antonio because like there's real issues where hundreds of people, like low income people, are getting like their houses taken away because these gangs are coming in and it is almost like an invasion, and they all do have a military presence. And so yeah, when they're sitting here saying there's no justification constitutionally, I mean, I just think you're wrong, and I think it's mainly because of ignorance. I don't think you're dumb. I just think you just don't know what's happening here on the border with some of these Venezuelan gangs, along with some of these other cartels.
Well, first of all, if there are gang members coming into the country, are they coming like, but the state is sending them there, or they're there as people fleeing the country, or I would imagine people in Venezuela from Venezuela who've come to America, people who are fleeing the regime, right? That's why they're there. You think the government was sending?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, is there any evidence that the Venezuelan government was sending gangsters with arms to America to stir up shit?
Oh well, that would be based if you believe on the evidence that Trinidad was directly linked to the government.
Wait.
If you believe that?
Not what I.
Then yes, you believe.
That's not what I asked. I asked if there's evidence. Because why am I hearing this from Trump? I'm hearing that they're sending drugs over. That there are drug boats.
Well, they are sending drugs over. Yeah, the cartels.
Not that there are gangsters. Not that the government is sending gangsters with guns. Because that would be like soldiers, right? That would be like they're invading the country with soldiers, like military.
Right.
I've never
That
heard
is the problem. So yeah, there are groups of people, the Venezuelans, that have fled Venezuela, because they were persecuted. That is true. But it's also true that the cartel of the Sun and Trinidad, who has sanctioned members of the government in it, has also been operating and sending people here for nefarious reasons, such as drug selling, as property management, as all sorts of different things, but that subvert the American system, which is a like government sanctioned thing by the Venezuelan government. Yeah, that is also happening.
This isn't even in that part though, because obviously like for American standards, if we're talking American law or constitution, you would require like an invasion would mean they're sending armed forces over to your country. That's all invasion is.
That's why they've reclassified
why is that not in Trump in the indictment against Maduro? If he's sending armed forces to the country, they'd be screaming this from the rooftops. I know this isn't true. I'm just trying to see why. I'm trying to understand why you.
I do want to throw a flag. We'll get back to it. I'm sure we'll get back to it. I'm sure. But I want to thank you, the Doughboy or whoever, for coming in, and maybe you'll get unbanned one day. But
yeah, one day, Lonerbox will apply it.
Okay, Zoni.
Yeah, I just had a quick question about UK politics. I guess it might be a disagreement. Do you think people should bash on the Labour Party in the UK, or do you think it's like important that you try to help them right now because they're probably going to get fucked in the next election?
I mean, you can. There is bashing that is helpful. It depends on what you're bashing them on. There are issues I've got with your Starmer, but it just depends on what the issue is. Do you have any in mind, or is that just a broad?
I mean, I know it's like different for you because you live in Scotland, right? So I'm guessing you're not voting for the Labour Party. I don't know how your elections work really.
Never seen
what party do you vote for the Scottish National Party, right? I'm guessing.
Well, I've moved constituency now, so I think this is a Labour safe seat, which means I would go for them. But yeah, it does depend on whether or not it's like an SNP Liberal or Labour seat. Which one has the most chance of winning against Reform? It would probably be Labour where I am though, so I'd go for them.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to argue about strategies in the UK. I'm kind of in this myself right now in my own country. Like, where I'm trying to figure out like how do we actually win the next election? Like at least like form like a non-right wing party, I guess, in the government. But
wait, what country are you?
I'm in Denmark.
Denmark. Okay. Hasn't the Greenland situation, has that affected the? I heard. I saw one article saying that the left has actually like been boosted now because of it.
Yeah, the Social Democrats were getting fucked in the polls. They've consistently been the biggest party in Denmark for many years, but they were like, I don't know, they might have actually fallen to like third or something, but now they are again the biggest party.
Well done, Trump. Emboldening socialism. Let's go.
Okay, let's get some of these super chats out of the way. Okay, we have $5 from Loner Unboxed. Question for the panel: what are your thoughts on Black History Month?
Loner Unboxed. Good YouTube channel.
Hey, everybody gets a month.
Okay, nothing wrong. Okay, $5 from the Trib One. Jen Wink got timed out because she was thinking about JQing while in chat. Shame.
Whoa.
Okay. $5 from Psychor Games. Now that I know Hutch and Pisco's garbage takes on The Last of Us Part 2, I must know loners. Also, what are some good books on Israel and Palestine? So, what is your take on Last of Us Part 2?
I haven't watched Last of Us. Sorry.
Okay.
I've got huge blind spots. I only watched Game of Thrones season 8. Sorry. The best season. Books in Israel Palestine. It depends on what period you want to look at. If you want to learn about the entire conflict, I would say Tom Segev's book is quite good for it, and so is Morris's Righteous Victims. You can also read Khalidi's 100 Years War in Palestine if you want to see like probably the best broad history from the Palestinian perspective. I don't know. Like I think learning some of the earlier stuff is quite good because it's a big blind spot for a lot of people. But probably one of the best ones that I read recently was, I'm always bad for remembering the names though. It was Neville Mandel's book. I think it was just called like Arabs and Jews in pre-World War I Palestine or something like that. That's a really good book. It really tells you a good understanding of how things started in the region.
Okay. Then $10 from the Trib 1 to say the insane amount of cry bullying from the far left is problematic. No, you don't have power. And no, you don't have the victim card. Work on your politics. Hutch is valid. Loner is valid. The Dems are valid. Okay, thank you for the $10. Okay, biracial Kaiba. What do you have?
Great name, by the way. Great name.
Thank you. I guess I have two questions. First question, I guess, for Lonerbox. I wanted to know, seeing how like the different political figures online, like say like Sneeko, Nick Fuentes, and Andrew Tate, they all seem to like be able to culminate and like get together, despite shit talking each other a great deal about like in terrible ways. Do you think there's any chance that the online left, say like Destiny, Vosh, Hassan, you can put away like past things? Don't get me wrong, a lot of it is just like rightfully people are like upset about rightful things, but no, I'm not saying go to a club and play like how whatever the equivalent of like the left's thing is. But like any chance you guys can get together to like show a more of a stronger front, or is there a chance of that just for the sake of just like better good, I guess?
So a couple of things. One, the right-wingers in America they're not as united as people think they are, especially the creators. Like Candace Owens is at war with fucking all of them right now, right? Over the Charlie Kirk stuff. But yeah, if you're going to talk about Hassan and Vosh and Destiny and all that, the problem is that like when it comes to Hassan and Vosh, like they just want different things. Like they have very, very clear ideological problems with center-left liberals that are just irreconcilable. And it's unfortunate because obviously like when you talk to MAGA, they don't see the difference. But it's obviously.
Can you give us an example of one of those from, let's say, Vosh? Because we talked about Hassan earlier, I think. Like what would you say is one of Vosh's irreconcilable differences with Democrats or your position?
So I haven't caught up with Vosh too much lately. I don't know what his position right now is on the party. If what I've heard is true, whatever is true, that he's saying that he couldn't even support Democrats if Gavin Newsom was there, then that's a problem. Like, it's just, I don't know how you could say that, especially when the opposition is as bad as it is. You wouldn't get behind the person who's the alternative to them, even if you don't like Gavin. The foreign policy that's happened with the far left over the last 2 years has just been completely insane to me. Like, the kind of positions that these people expect a government to have on Israel is like, and the Middle East is just like, it's not. It doesn't seem to stop it. Just stop arming them. Some people say that, but it's like I really refuse to believe that these people would just completely lose interest in Palestine as long as America stops arming them. For one, there are lots of European countries that do fuck all with Israel. They still have these protests all over the streets, so that doesn't make sense. But when it comes to America, really, like, do you think these people would give up interest in Palestine just because there's no funding from America going right now? We saw this with one of Hassan's lists, right? When he was saying that, well, if you have to give them the phone call, if the phone call doesn't work, then do the arms embargoes. If that doesn't work, do the sanctions. If that doesn't work, invade Israel. Well, Israel would rather be invaded than meet the demands that Hassan has for them, because the demands would get them destroyed. It would get them killed. So that is, I think that is irreconcilable. And because it also just necessitates, I've heard Vosh do this, if someone doesn't hold that position that you do on Israel, well, that means you're going to smear the half the party as genocide deniers and genociders, even, perpetrators. You can't do that. You can't get a party to win while you're calling them like Hitler's and Bosnian genocide or like Rwanda or whatever. Yeah, you can't do that. It doesn't work. You need to inspire people to vote. One of the big problems is like turnout, especially with younger voters, is they don't turn out. Even if they're politically active, even if they tweet about politics all day, they don't turn out because they're lazy or they're uninspired or they don't think it'll matter. They need to be pushed to vote, and you're not going to push someone to vote with that language. So yeah, I think it is irreconcilable.
Okay, does that answer your question, biracial Kaiba?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because I always, even as much as you'd like something like that, I guess there's like always like a lot of splintering with like the left because of like purity testing too. And don't get me wrong, there's some of that on the right, but with the left, it'd be like just very, when I can tell, like very small differences, and it's just like, oh well, we can't work together, or talk like about certain things. But I guess the other question would be for, oh, sorry, were you gonna say Admiral Gibbs? Were you gonna say something?
No, go ahead. No.
I was gonna actually my second question. Yeah, that answers it pretty much. But Admiral Gibbs, how do you feel about like recently a lot of people just like not really caring about just people's like I guess basic gun rights in America just because of I guess like almost playing like team sports in a way and just
I hate it. It's awful. It's bullshit. Like I mean like yeah, I Loderbox addressed this earlier. And I agree with him. I if you are really truly a 2A guy, then you want the Black Panthers to have the guns. You want them to be resistant to blue. These people that put like, oh, back to blue, and then like, listen, I like back to blue. Cool. Like I like cops. I don't have any problems with cops. But like, if you actually believe that you're going to start a resolution, the first people you're going to be fighting are going to be the cops. They're not going to be fighting the military. So like on some level, yeah, I'm glad that these people are starting to arm themselves and go and militarize and go and do stuff because that is like what 2A is for. Whether that's a good or bad thing is a whole different debate. Once again, I think it's a great thing. Yeah. So I have a problem with people that do this, and like I play team sports and the gun rights. I think that Loderbox was kind of based earlier when he said this argument earlier. So, but I know we're not glazing him. I wanted to say the other thing. Then I lost my thought. But yeah. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Okay. I want to give it to Psychor. Psychor, what do you have?
Honestly, I was just chatting backstage and I wasn't expecting to get pulled. But while I'm here, I might as well ask Lonerbox to repeat himself when he was invoking the name of one of those Israel-Palestine. I'm the $5 super chat. What was it? Tom Segetz, you said?
Tom
and
Segev.
Righteous Victims?
Yeah,
Segev. How's it spelled?
S-E-G-E-V. S-E-G-E-V, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of pro Lonerbox. You can kick me soon, but I don't know that much about, like, I want to become increasingly smart about the Israel-Palestine conflict. My opinions on it are still evolving. All my peers hate Israelis and are practically anti-Semitic to some degree, but I want to make a more informed opinion, and I want to read some books on it. And I don't know if there are any truly like non-biased or limited bias books on it, or books that like show both sides of the conflict. But I mean, I don't know. I'll let you speak.
You're going
to
to struggle to find a non-biased one. The second one is called One Palestine Complete. That's quite a good one. Is there any particular period or area that you wanted to know about?
No, that's why I'm deferring to you, because I don't know shit about the conflict other than the things that I glean from like Destiny and your community and Hutch and shit.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think those
You
ones
said
are
one
good
Palestine,
examples.
one conflict?
One Palestine
One
complete, I think is what it's called. Yeah.
Complete. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for the recommendations. Yeah, what's up?
So, Loner, I don't know what I was going to say. Loner, the guy asked just a second ago about the unified front on the left. I think that you're right. The right is not as unified as like people think it is. However, I think that, like, I'll give you an example. We brought up Andrew Wilson earlier, right? My version of America is dramatically different than his version of America if we got away, right? Like, I just want, like, economic freedom, and I don't give a shit what you do socially, right? Like, whatever. He, has a very avid idea of what he wants for, like, structure-wise, whatever. However, I think with the right, we're much more able to, like, unite under broad concepts, while the left, y'all seem to purity test. Like, if that's something you inherently see as, like, a detriment, like, in general, like, I'm kind of summarizing here to move on faster, but what are your thoughts here? Like,
again, the right does purity test. The problem is that the purity testers won. The purity testers won, and that's why I don't want to see the Democrats become that. What was Trump doing after he lost the 2020 election to all the people? That January 6th committee, so much of that testimony of Trump's behavior before the riots is built up by testimony from other Republicans. He would beef up one Republican one day and give them some support because they wanted to do an audit. But then when the audit didn't find what Trump wanted and they said, oh, we're not going to do a new slate of electors and push that through the Congress, then Trump turned on them. And then the next couple of days, you see these poor Congress guys who are Trump sycophants. They support Trump really hard. And they've got Trump supporters outside their house with guns calling them pedophiles. And they have to move because they're like fucking 10-year-old daughters having nightmares and shit like that. Yeah, Trump is that's the thing. I don't want the Democrats to become that because that kind of politics is cancer. And yeah, Trump, that's the problem. The purity testers won. So now people just fall in line.
This is an aside. Did you see that Will Stancil got punched by Antifa today?
Oh no, I don't know.
No, I saw that Trump signed a deal with India, 0% tariffs, and they're no longer going to trade oil with Russia.
No, I was speaking to the idea of you don't want us to be so purity testy that we are going to people's houses, right, calling them pedophiles, like scaring their kids and things like that. And I do see a lot of the far left act a lot like MAGA, to be clear with you. And Will Stancil, this guy, pretty lip-coated, he's been going around in Minnesota, following ICE, honking his horn, blowing his little whistle at him and stuff like that, recording things. They are mad at Will Stancil because Will Stancil wants the press to ride along with him, and he's documenting what he's doing and things like that. They don't like that. And so today he had a little altercation where he was asking people to stop setting things on fire, I guess, that we were doing in Minnesota, and they punched him.
Wow.
And so we got this kind of like this far leftist agitators, for lack of a better term, just trying to push the libs out, and it's pretty bad.
Yeah, not good. I don't want us to become left MAGA. That wouldn't be nice. Also, I will just make a comment that is very funny that 90 deals in 90 days became, we got a deal with India. Like, how many? Much more than 90 days later.
Okay.
We have lots of deals.
Yeah, just real quick.
There's not lots of deals. Definitely not 90 days anyway.
We'll let the new guy take a shot at this. Fell Runner for $5. Do you believe there is a credible threat that Trump will pause elections on the lie that 2020 was illegitimate? Or is this an overblown concern?
I'm so sorry. Was that question to me? Because I wasn't listening.
Yes,
sorry.
that was a question to you.
Can I hear it again? I'm so sorry.
Sure. Do you believe that there is a credible threat that Trump will pause elections on the lie that 2020 was illegitimate? Or is this an overblown concern?
I don't know enough about how the voting system works. It seems like he wants to do it. I don't know why else he's trying to muscle ballot records from, Minnesota and Georgia. That seems very strange. I wouldn't put it past him, but I have no idea. I don't know like what means he has to actually do it.
Fair enough. Well, I'm concerned that he's going to start putting ICE on ballot places, like ballot locations, and say, well, we're concerned about illegal voters, and they're going to just flood it with like paramilitary to intimidate the citizens. That's my concern.
It'd be terrible if we had checks against illegal voting. That'd be just awful, wouldn't it?
Just to be clear, putting ICE soldiers in voting booths is not going to be a...
Nobody's talking about putting ICE soldiers in voting booths. Maybe they're putting it outside and walking around. Hey, you got your ID here for the thing.
Doesn't America already have measures against illegals voting? Like, catch people from committing fraud all the time?
Isn't it funny that, like, 20% to 22% of ICE arrests happen in Texas, no riots. 2%, less than 2% are happening in Minnesota, riots everywhere. Oh, they're going to take over the voting. It's crazy where it's clearly that y'all have been using illegals to get fucking people in here for votes. And now...
No, it's almost as if... First of all, that has nothing to do with illegals voting. Of course, ICE is going to have less friction when they are acting in cooperation with the state government, whereas when Trump is just sending 2,000 fucking knuckle draggers into Minnesota because he watched a video from a guy who can barely fucking speak, saying that he found loads of fraud because a fucking care center wouldn't let him come in and gape his fucking cave over the kids and drool into their fucking ears and make sure that they're legal citizens.
Okay, let me finish. Let me finish.
That's crazy.
Yeah, let me finish these super chats.
Fraud that was prosecuted under the Biden administration, by the way.
No, not that fraud. The new fraud.
The new fraud that's not resulted in prosecution.
Okay, token people. This is what they do. This is what every person does. They go in there, they charge some token people.
Let the man make some money.
Sorry, we're gonna finish this real quick and then we can make some money. They sit here and go. They go, hey, we're gonna charge these little losers that were the small fish. Well, we are getting in cahoots. We already know. We have tons of evidence of billions and billions of dollars of fraud, and y'all are going, nah.
Okay. Throwing a flag on the play. Alishness for $5 says, I claimed you had hat hair. Your face and outfit is very Steve Jobs adjacent, but your hair is nice. It reminds me of a Ushanka, respectfully.
Yeah, I don't know why full head of hair is an insult. God damn it. With all the fucking balding people on this platform.
Hey,
no disrespect.
True.
Careful, Loner Box. Careful. Okay, I'm taking some.
Yeah, hair superiority.
Okay, I'm catching some strays. $10 from Bad Company. From San Antonio, just here to say Gibbs is lying. Tren de Agua is not taking over apartment complexes.
Tren de Agua, again.
He's mixing up his MAGA propaganda with Colorado.
Uh-oh.
No, I can actually give you the article. It's an apartment complex. 400 people lost their homes because they destroyed it. They had to condemn the apartment complex after they raid. And 22 people. I'll pull them up.
Yeah, $5 from Bearded Pinecone. Have the latest revelations in the Pixie versus Destiny court case moved any of your previous opinions?
I'd rather not go into this. I mean, if I've ever said anything that was like disinformation, then I'll do that. Like apparently the person, it seems like we know that there wasn't a minor involved. So okay, or at least he wasn't sending stuff to a minor, so I corrected that. But otherwise, no, fuck that. Sorry, no, thank you.
No worries. $5 from AKA Batozai. Loaner boxes. Is it concerning that there have been multiple instances of violence against the public from trans individuals?
What? There's been multiple. This is not a social issue. What the fuck?
Okay.
And I learned that from Science of the Lambs. Trans people are
And with
generally
I just said with
quite
the article,
passive,
I can send about 50
Well,
more.
just let me finish these real quick. $5 from Ben Swanson. Just to clarify, Trump came out today and said we should federalize the U.S. elections. So that is concerning to me. I do want to give a chance for new guy A to have his space. What do you got for Loanerbox, sir?
Yeah, I appreciate being here. Also, fan of your content, Loaner. Big history guy myself, so it's cool that we have someone that covers it in the streaming world. I have two questions for you. They're both foreign policy. They're unrelated. The first is, I think one of the things it feels like I've been observing when it comes to some of these organizations like Amnesty and Human Rights Watch is, it seems like they've gotten significantly more homogenous with who's in those organizations, and that drives a lot of how they work in their space. I'm wondering if that's something you feel is an accurate representation of what's going on with those orgs. Do you think that's just natural inertia of people are leading those organizations with a certain political bias, and so they hire the same people, or do you think there's like another driver of that, if you even agree with the original point?
I've never really tried to look into exactly how those organizations got the way that they did when it comes to Israel, because that's, to be honest, that part's just not been as interesting to me. I think you can explain it quite easily. Like, obviously, there's like the conspiratorial argument, which is that these states that oppose Israel can't really win any real wars, so they just invest all their time and effort into the propaganda wars, and they use their UN bloc votes and their connections to and they use the UN a lot more than a country that doesn't really need it as much, like the Western powers. But no, I think I'm much more simple. Like humanitarian organizations, like it makes sense for them to have like a bias towards like the civilian. Like if you imagine like international law at its most basic level, it's supposed to be one, if a country needs to go to war, then it should defend their right to do that, to deal with threats or whatever else. But it also needs to protect civilians in the process. And obviously, a human rights organization is going to lean much further towards the latter. So like they're going to assume someone is civilian unless they are given an ungodly amount of evidence otherwise, which is quite hard to get in the middle of a war. So I understand that, but I think maybe the result of that is that when you start to produce this much like bias in one way, then you become susceptible to biases. And for the life of me, I can't understand why. Maybe because they think that if they get undermined, then humanitarian situations won't get taken seriously. But human rights organizations don't own their mistakes ever. It's really strange. You know that whole like, have you ever heard of? You probably hear this from like very niche far left spheres, but this idea that Western sanctions against Iraq in the 90s killed like 500,000 infants. This is completely bullshit. Like it was fabricated by Saddam's regime, and the initial people who researched it went back and surveyed people and found out that a bunch of like dead babies were being reported on that just didn't exist, or like miscarriages were being overreported as babies killed from malnutrition and stuff like that. Like it was really insane. But if you look at UNICEF's website or the organizations that spoke about it, they have reports on it that you can still access. But now, if you look at like Iraq life expectancy 90 to 2000, now that Saddam's gone and we've actually been able to access their documents, it just shows a normal life expectancy, like not like no famine in the middle. But they had never gone back and said this report was like nonsense. Sorry, like I don't know why they do that. And it influences the press as well, because even when they stop using false claims or exaggerated claims, the press doesn't. So yeah, it's an issue. But
yeah, and to be fair, I'm coming from I'm very supportive of like almost all of those organizations. I'm like a contributor to like Doctors Without Borders, but just like it's a concern to me where I feel like if these organizations start to continue to act in that way, that like it itself undermines like their own mission, because ultimately you like need cooperation both ways for them to be at their most successful. My other question, and this is quite very unrelated, is there's been like a lot of talk of like Israel, Gaza, like Iran, Syria. I'm wondering if like you've done any research or what you think about like Turkey's role in the region, because it seems like they have like a kind of an ambiguous role in the sense that like they're a part of NATO, so you think they're nominally aligned with like the United States and like other Western interests, but it seems like regionally they've been more backing. I think like if we're connecting this to Iran, like they're more backing like the current Iranian regime, and I'm wondering what you think that entails for like Turkey's future posture when it comes to like relations with the West and the Arab government. And then like what it means, or what it means for the relations with like the axis of resistance or whatever's left of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard this theory that, because every now and then I'll see like some article that has like this headline about how Erdogan basically wants to be like the new sultan and like in terms of influence in the Middle East. Yeah, I don't really know. They just seem like a wild card. And I would have to do a lot more reading to know exactly kind of why they do that. But I guess it's just like because of wherever they have their interests, and obviously that will produce mixed results. But yeah, I can tell you.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Sackers, your audio's a little scowled.
No, I'm sorry, I'm using a laptop. I had to mute the stream a minute ago, so it wouldn't echo over. Yeah, I do have a question, and I've been thinking about it lately. Now that the October ceasefire has by and large held and it's fallen out of the news cycle, I've honestly realized how destructive the actual like movement was to domestic politics in the U.S., because it kind of peaked in 2025, in my opinion, in terms of like rhetoric, to the point where I felt like I was stuck in like a Nuremberg rally on loop. It like the movement, in my opinion, I felt started going after like random ass Jews as opposed to like actual politicians who were like, yeah, these like crimes against humanity, these are actually good, because there were a lot of people like that in the American government, and like especially with Trump, because Trump was saying from like day one his policy was going to be, yeah, I'm going to let Bibi take over the entire strip and we're going to build like the Riviera or whatever, and they ignored that. They went after fucking Harris, and I'm starting to suspect that what they wanted from her, they wanted nothing short of like gassing B'nai B'rach or some shit, to the point where I'm like not really sure what the point of any of that was. And I'm going to say this as someone who's like been in the area before, has lived around here. The reason why Dearborn and Hamtramck went right wing is because of social conservatism.
Yeah. What is your question?
My question is why we needed to even facilitate this like activist sect during the elections and even afterwards, when they were like so hell bent on just like uncompromising, just completely absurd demands.
Why did we need to coddle or to promote these protesters and things like that? Go ahead.
Because like,
this is supposed to be a contentions panel. Like, what the fuck? What in the fuck? Yeah, this is supposed to be a contentious panel. What the fuck? That was just a nice comment and a question.
If you have,
just a reasonable question.
Issues with Loaderbox.
Oh, okay. Well, it's okay. No, that's right. Fucking. It's just, yeah, like, I think maybe America just isn't as used to this problem. I feel like, but then obviously,
I'm going to mute you, Saxos, because no one.
That's fine. I'll do it myself.
Yeah, please.
But yeah, obviously in Europe there was people cut out to it a lot as well. Like Macron made some stupid decisions in relation to it. No, I think people just need to understand that, like, for a lot, like, some people just they're seeing a lot of fucking blood and death on their fucking social media account and they want it to stop, and then they're not going to know the conflict like that well, because it's something that's been out of the news for a really long time. Like back when I used to make videos about settlers and apartheid and all that shit, like no one was watching that stuff compared to other videos, and no one cared. But so they're coming in with not that much information, so they'll just latch themselves onto whatever is already floating around, like all the slogans and all the statements, and then they feel like that's the way to get around it. So it's a shame that there just wasn't enough alternative voice to besides just like the vicious like right wingers who just hate Muslims and want Israel to do whatever they want and like love Netanyahu and shit. It's a shame that there was nothing in between those that cared enough. But I think people just need to remember that for a lot of people, they're not really doing politics. If you're ever confused about why they didn't seem to want to come up with a policy agenda that was actually realistic, or were not willing to pay attention to what's actually going, like, that's not politics. What they're doing, like someone screaming at you on social media, or like disowning a friend because of because they won't call it genocide, or accusing everyone of like being like Holocaust perpetrators because they support the Democrats, or because they support a particular candidate, or because they actually think there is a huge difference between Biden and Harris, or between Biden, Harris, and Trump. That's not, like, for a lot of people, it's like that was the trending thing, and it made people feel good about themselves, and it was aesthetically quite powerful because you felt like you're on the right side of history. It's against colonialism. It's against like basically like an effigy for all the crimes that our own countries have committed in the past. And it makes people, especially students and younger people who are just learning about, you know, all the bad things that Western Europe and America did in the past, and it just makes them feel better about themselves. And also because I guess, like, I don't know, like some people just don't have personality, so they fill it in with keffiyehs and River to the Sea and all that shit. Yeah, that's why. But I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. People need to get a lot better at spotting the difference between someone who's into politics and actually wants to debate an issue, or they've got an interest in an area, versus someone who is doing something for other ambiguous, vague, more like narrative reasons or whatever else. Like self-aggrandizing. Yeah.
It does, and I do have because I did I think this question came up with like a previous, I think Soypill was doing it, and I think Vadim came in, and that's where I got the idea for that question, because I was listening to this conversation and I was like, I completely disagreed with Vadim, because I thought, like, okay, well, this group seems to be very maximalist and is probably even pro-Trump, considering the way I've heard, like, oh, well, at least Trump wants peace, you know? So it felt very degrading. And now I'm not really sure what the end result is going to be from all of this. Like, I'm a little bit salty because I've been pretty invested with Ukraine for a long time, and it felt especially like, they kind of ignored it at just the perfect opportunity. And as Russia was like doing things that even Israel did, but actively saying like, this is good, we are doing this like atrocity and it's like the best thing ever and you can cope and see, and like objectively admitting to the fact that they were like evil and being proud of it. It's just like, it's hard for me to really rationalize, especially since a lot of those activists were like extremely hostile to East Europeans. Oh, got it. Sorry about that. I'm gonna head out now.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Do appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
And also, just so everybody's aware, I want to just clarify that other super chatter, Wick, so you give Wick more money if you want to debate, but I posted a link in there and I sent it to Wick, and it said exactly verbatim what I said, so Gibbs was not confused. You were just lying, or you were ignorant. Okay.
Whoa.
Done. $5 from Trib1. Loner, question for you. Is there a way Trump can legitimately reverse the ill will he secreted when it comes to USA's allies? I say no, but I don't mind hope and cope.
There is rope that will take that much weight. Yeah, of course there are things he can do. Just he won't do it because he's a fucking nutter. Like, yeah, he won't do it. He'll take it to the grave. No chance.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess on that line, say Democrats do get into power, in 2028, right? So 2026 we were in the midterms. 2028 we get whoever our presidential candidate happens to be wins the election. So now we got the House, now we got the Senate, now we got the White House. What foreign policy wise, what does America have to do? Is there anything America can do at that point to rebuild the trust with the global world order, with Europe, with Britain, with et cetera, right?
I imagine most world leaders would understand that there's a difference, and they would go back to business as usual. I don't know how difficult that would be.
Well, hold on, I disagree with this.
Really?
Maybe we can something fine on. I think that Trump has done generational damage to our reputation. Not because world leaders wouldn't recognize that a Democratic candidate or a different candidate isn't Trump, isn't going to do those things, but the fact that America in 2032 or in 2036 or even in 2040 could go back to a Trump-like figure who will threaten to invade.
Oh, you mean in terms of like their long-term policy will probably shift?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. Maybe that's for the better for some countries, I guess, because maybe Europe has been too dependent on America, and we haven't really pulled our own weight when it comes to defense spending and shit like that. Yeah, that's maybe true to a degree. But yeah, as for rebuilding, like, yeah, there obviously has to be some accountability for MAGA because they've broken like every rule that in the book that makes America America. Like, I think for a start, I don't even know. I'm still surprised this didn't happen under Biden. I know why, because of fucking Garland and him being just like a very milk toasty kind of across the aisle guy. But it shouldn't be the case that even if you thought Trump wasn't guilty of some insurrection or something with January 6th, that should have been resolved legally. Like, it shouldn't be a question up in the air if Trump is even fit to run for president because he denied the results of an election that he lost. You'd think if you're in a democracy, okay, people have rights, free speech and all that, but if you want to become the president, if you want to run for president, I think the bare minimum is that you respect the results of an election, unless you have a good reason not to. Trump did not have a good reason not to. So the fact that there wasn't even some kind of trial or some kind of like expedited process or something to find out, you've got 4 years to see if this guy's even fit to run for office. He clearly isn't or wasn't because of his disdain for the elections that he's willing to run in. So yeah, they should have done. I think maybe after MAGA, if there is a post-MAGA, it would have to be starting with that. Like, you can't have election deniers running for elections.
It's for the world to kind of trust us again. If I'm repeating if I'm understanding what you're saying, we would have to hold MAGA to account in some way, shape, or form legally.
Yeah,
for the world to
if they can prove it in a court of law that he knowingly was lying about what happened in the election, that and we can do that, mens rea, it's not that difficult. Yeah, and if they could prove that case, then yeah, why the fuck are you allowed to run an election? Then what's the point?
Well, hold on. Do you agree? Let's just say that Trump, in this meantime, this is hypothetically I'll propose, that the Dems take power, right? Do you agree that in the meantime, between now and the next presidential, they find quite a bit of evidence of there's something was up with the 2020 election? Because I know people are going to say, we investigated before, it wasn't, but now it seems like it's a new style. They're finding new things. Trump is more people in place to look and clean out the rot, allegedly, right? So if they find that there was actually tampering with this election, convictable, evidence-based, at what level will you do you need for them to go, okay, maybe Trump wasn't lying that something happened in 2020? And I know there's a conspiracy theory at the moment, but it looks like they're trying to see if it's not. But what level of evidence would you need for them to be like, okay, something stuff's happening?
Okay, I'm trying to think if I want to actually humor what you just said, or
sure.
Yeah, okay, let's do the humoring one, and then
wait, hold on, we're going to be asked this question. It's going to be 2060, and they're still going to be asking, well, what if we find it now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that they will look until.
5 years.
You'll accept it? No, it's already been shown. It's already been shown that the evidence he was using was clearly a lie. I don't know what to tell you. It's so fucking stupid.
That's not true. Zapata just got convicted 2 days ago for election interference and fraud. And Trump's the executive director for the deputy director for elections in Wisconsin. Whenever we have higher ups like this getting convicted of fraud with elections, that's a problem. And I think we should look into it. If you are saying that there's none, okay, cool.
No one is saying none. The question is whether it was outcome determinative. No one is saying that every democracy in every country on earth has some people committing fraud. You'd have to have something that shows you that it was outcome determinative, but that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And they keep on unearthing this. Well, what do you mean we don't know? Okay, so I don't actually trust the Bush v. Gore. We just don't know. We can still investigate. How long?
Sure, I'd agree that one could have been sus.
All right, put it this way. Let's say I call you a pedophile, right? I'm insisting you're a pedophile.
Sure.
I don't have any evidence of this.
You're insisting.
Yeah, I don't have any evidence of this. I'll maybe make up some things or some conjecture. What if 2 years from now, it turns out you actually did, but it's with a bunch of evidence that I never even used in the first place? Does that mean I'm vindicated? Not really.
I would say
you get lucky.
Maybe.
No, you didn't have a good reason. You have to have a good reason to say the thing.
Your gut was right.
But it's not his gut. It's false. It's bad evidence.
To be clear, I'm not
I know you're not. I'm sorry to use you as an example. But again, the State Farm Arena video was not a gut instinct. It was just to be clear though, the State Farm Arena video was not a gut instinct. That was fake. It was fabricated evidence. The dead voters was not a gut instinct. It was a piece of fabricated evidence. It was a fabricated evidence. The fact that Trump said, "Oh, the courts only threw it out on standing. They didn't even look at the merits." That was false. They did look at the merits. You can read the cases.
Some of these elections were 12,000 difference. That's not a very large number of fake, right, across the state, right?
So you're just saying, oh, it's not impossible. It's not humanly impossible. That's not a good reason to challenge the results of the election.
Hold on.
And to commit crimes.
I'm not an election denier, right? I just whatever, you lost. Now, I do think we should investigate based off some of the stuff I've seen. Cool. And with further investigation, I don't think enough's been done. But I'm not going to sit here and go, I think it was outcome determined. I agree. I guess I'm just asking if there's ever a level of evidence y'all will accept that if it comes out that they're Georgia was determined, maybe Wisconsin was there something sus that happened. Maybe if there was 2 states, 1 state where there wasn't a fraud for it to be outcome determined in said state, is there a level of evidence y'all will accept? And I keep coming back to saying I think the answer is no. I don't think there's any level of evidence y'all will accept, which is kind of scary. News not so much because you're British.
I just haven't seen any. We no, fuck off. We haven't seen any. Like what I've seen a lot of evidence of is people lying. So even if what everything you just said is correct and actually it was outcomes determinative fraud, Trump still lies. He still used examples that were easily debunkable. Were debunked by his own aides, by people like Bill Barr, by people who supported him tooth and nail all the way to the fucking end of the earth, by fucking Raffensperger, by Rusty Bowers. These were Trump's own guys who said that's not Trump's own guys were saying your claims are not standing up to the evidence. You are lying.
No, but investigations, they think it's one thing, and they start investigating. They might not find that actual thing, but then they'll find a litany of other crimes.
Hold
and they charge them for
the
that.
problem here is that they have done investigations, right? They've done positive investigations to look for illegal voters, right? And they did this in Utah. I think they did this in Arizona. They did this in a few other states, just like 2 weeks ago. Okay, we're not talking like.
Some states are finding stuff.
You know how many? Hold on, just real quick. Do you know how many illegal voters that they found in Utah? From about 1 million voters, right? There's about 1 million voters. They found one.
Less than 1,000.
They found one. A single one, right? And so when you look at these states and you're like, is there fraud? There's like 10 or 14
God.
or 2.
Wick, do you remember Cyber Ninjas, a partisan group, the pro-Trump group, Cyber Ninjas? They did an audit. They thought they found something. Then they realized that what they had, their final result was that Biden actually had more votes than the initial count through their audit. And that was a partisan organization. They've investigated so fucking. There's no more investigation you can do to find outcome determinative.
What you can't do, hold on, Gibbs, but let me respond to you, right? Like what Trump is trying to do, what MAGA is trying to do, right, is they are going to investigate until they get the outcome they want, and they will fire their investigators who don't give them the outcome they want. And so you see this kind of perverse incentive that is placed on Kristi Noem, that is placed on Tulsi Gabbard, that is placed on all these people, right, by Trump, saying unless you give me something where I can prosecute, we're going to fire your ass or we're going to demote your ass. And so they have them going in to Fulton County, taking these records, and I don't trust anything these records that they've taken are no longer secure. If you don't think MAGA would fucking falsify that shit, you are naive. Here's the problem with right-wingers, right? If you want to know what MAGA wants to do or what it's thinking of doing or planning to doing, right, look at what they're accusing the left of doing. Every single accusation they make towards the left is something they've either done, want to do, or are trying to do right now. One of the three. That's it.
Listen,
that's all it is.
I'm sympathetic. Like, I'm not an election denier. I think there should be more investigations personally, but I'm not going to sit here and think that it was out from the truth. I also don't give a shit. It's just like January 6th for me. I wish we'd stop this debate about those two things. However, I do think when you're sitting here going, oh, they're going to just make this up. I think there are questions that need to be had.
Hold on, they've made up so much to this point.
Yeah, but,
and I don't.
hold on,
just real quick, because I know I feel myself getting distracted. Gang, this is Lonerbox versus the world. So please, if you have an issue with
what the fuck
Lonerbox,
you doing?
please call in.
Yeah. I just when you're saying this thing, and this will be the last thing I say on this, I was told for decades, and you know that we were told this for decades, Wick, that illegals weren't getting Medicaid, right? We weren't told that. We were told that, right? Now it turns out they were, right? Like, the whole time, they're getting in droves, right? And then I'm told, oh, this isn't happening. And it keeps coming out that these things were happening. And so, like, maybe I'm just suspicious of all the governments now.
Wick, sorry, Wick, just a heads up. I'm not talking to this fucking fat lying slime fucking him out. I'm not talking to History Weeks. Bye-bye.
Never
lie.
Piece of shit.
Okay, so one quick question. Sorry,
okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. I didn't know you had a block list.
It's quite small. He takes
Who was
up
that
space.
guy?
He's just
History
an
Speaks.
asshole.
I know that guy. I didn't know it was a blacklist. It wasn't on purpose. I just didn't know you had a blacklist. So I'm sorry.
I've never even seen it. You said fat, and I was like, damn, there's a couple of it.
Yeah, I was like, Dev. What did Dev do?
I
I'm
have
sorry,
fat in
guys.
my name.
No disrespect to any of
Oh,
that.
yeah, you do. That's right. Well, there's two. There's three of us now. Four.
Okay, Dev. What do you got?
All right. That's it for now, guys. I will be back in 4 hours for the later stream. We'll dive more into shit that we were talking a little bit about earlier on our full politics stream. Everybody have a great time. See you in a few hours. Bye-bye.